everybody. Great to see you for sure for live stream 128. Kind of weird. I was looking at the thing. Well, actually, I'll pop it on in a second, but let's take a look at Tolemykus's quote. Started off right. Oh, great to see you, Meandering Mike. Hold on here. Let's get to your quote. Our men must be trained in the open, not behind trenches. They are to fight the American way. General John J. Pershing, American Expeditionary Forces, U.S. divisions began training in France. You guys will probably know more than I do. Thank you, Tolemykus, than I do. But didn't the Americans have a bit of a tough go of it at the very beginning? They kind of didn't really listen, or I'm not sure about that. But if you guys do know, please chime in. Great to see you, William Aarons. Yes, thank you very much. I got all your ATAs, and we'll get into what we can get done in an hour. Great to see you, Charles Atora, Harro, Bosma, Brian R. Smith, and Meandering Mike. Super duper great, because the nice thing was, well, I'm not, the last live stream you weren't there, and we didn't get around to doing Tolemykus's engagement question of the week, the logic puzzle, and so we didn't have to worry about getting option F from you. But like I've said before, it doesn't mean you're committed. It's fun. I'm not saying you ever have to keep doing it forever and ever. Amen. We're just here, as Charles Latour says, we're here to have fun, for goodness sakes. Oh, goody. Hold on here. A bunch of you guys do have some answers here. Tolemykus says they were originally trained for the last war. But it's weird. I mean, let's be honest. They had, from what I gather, even before then, they were sending people. I guess I'm assuming they're officers up to the Canadian border, across the Canadian border, to get to find out about how what was been going on, and so on and so forth. And we've seen pictures on the images of the day of trenches and whatnot in the United States. Maybe that was afterwards, after they got they figured it out. Commander Mike says here, the Americans had heavy casualties, but they kicked ours in true American fashion eventually. With your bloody shotguns. I think you guys brought the shotguns to the trenches. I think, there was even one, I remember reading something about the Germans were trying to saying, hey, wait a minute, this is going overboard or something like that, even though people are gassing. Just so bizarre. Tolemykus, they were still trying to charge up. Oh my God. There you go. And hold on here. These are good ones. I want to put it in here. Oh, yes. And yes, anyways, let's just boink. There we go. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Let's get into there, because we're going to get sidetracked. I'm just going to leave your comments as much as I can on here. Hold on here. I want to see if I can add this one to the stage. Oh, I got to remove this guy. Then I can put in the narrative. Boink. You guys can see it. And I'm hoping this goes well, this narrative, because a segment of it is basically was inspired by one of the commenters a couple of weeks ago or whatever, from one of the images of the day, and we'll get around to it. So anyways, it started me the ball rolling. I was like, hey, wait a minute, let's make a segment out of this. There's another thing I do want to mention about the fact that I do miss doing weekly live streams, but doing a live stream every 2 weeks is helping my work life, or my stress balance, if you want to call it that. And it's also, I'm finding, helping me prepare hopefully better. Like you guys don't even see some of the stuff that I'm kind of got off to the side, and it's really helping me prepare that way and that type of stuff. So I'm really happy about it. I don't know if I could have been able to insert this segment into it, and those type of things to prepare. It's really nice to know. So anyways, there, I got another one. I have to pop this in. World War I shotgun equals the good old Winchester trench gun. Oh, cool. I love the name of that. That would be another. You know what? Another thing I was thinking about on the side note, I was thinking this morning, I was like, okay, how about maybe the winner of each trivia round there we could reveal another block of an image and have another trivia. And I was like, my God, this show is turning into or whatever. We got Tolemykus's stuff and everything. It's just turning into an hour long. Good. I'm happier in hell. But it was just if this is the way we're going to learn, then why not, for goodness sakes? Yes, I think for Meandering Mike, I think that's the way I'm going to go about it, unless there's something bizarre special. So I will put some kind of image or some kind of calendar up, so that way people don't get, because I have had people mention, hey, what the hell? If I went on, I just assumed. So I'll try to be a little bit more that way. But anyways, here we go. So please let me know what you've been up to this week. And when we go to these things, if I have them in quotes, it's just usually from an interesting tidbit that I was reading in some of the articles in the past 2 weeks, and I just wanted to share them along with you. The other bits are just more or less things that I've noticed from the articles, and I wanted to pop them and share them with you as well. Cadorna is making it bad for Austria. I just thought that was a neat little quote. And also, I think Charles Latore knows this. I got a soft spot for him and his Italian. Well, he's got a soft spot for Italy. So there we go. Anything Italian, that I'll try to pop it in a good light. But I'm sorry, Charles Latore. In a little while, you're going to have to deal with a lot of Italian bashing in a bit when we get to Caporetto. So I'm sorry. And that's just around the corner. Italian and British warships are working together to shell positions on the Armada mountain group. I think that's somewhere around Trieste. I don't know where it is exactly. Rain and a high wind continue to make fighting in France and Flanders almost impossible. So I'm assuming this is yet again what many people refer to about Passchendaele and whatnot being just a giant muddy slog. But I love this one. This scared the living dickens out of me when I was reading this one this week. But for the salvation of the country, we will kill with all our souls. And that's Kerensky there, the dude that's, a minister of war and whatnot for Russia right now. He's talking about reinstating the death penalty, even though he was the one that advocated it for going away a few years back or whatever. New naval devices are being used between Americans and British, has reduced shipping losses to 0.5%. They don't mention it, and they say devices. I don't know what that means. Is that a covert way of them not mentioning the convoy system? I don't know. It would be neat to know. That's, William Aarons, that's what a ton of people, well, I know that, for example, that's what Zoe Dufour does. Well, not cleaning the church while listening to the live stream, but what she actually does housework and whatnot while she's cleaning the church. So that's pretty cool. That's what Charles Latore says about it. It's nothing I can do about it, Charles Latore. It's history. Sorry. Seems like the British are making another drive towards Gaza. The situation here is not at all cheering for the Allies. That was a quote, and it's in reference to the situation near Riga. And they're just, we found out the Russians have just evacuated that area. Fighting is resumed along the Macedonian front despite an ongoing heat wave. Swiss chocolate is now being restricted from getting to the Central Powers. I will say this is one thing I'm noticing repeatedly ever since the Americans have joined the war. And you've even mentioned it a few times there, Charles Latore, in the headlines, is that, oh my God, did I not even say Brian R. Smith? If I didn't say you, Brian R. Smith, I'm so sorry, because we're about to mention some stuff, articles later on about you in reference to Montreal. But Charles Latore, you were mentioning that, about the neutrals and so on and so forth every time there's some mention. And it is. I think as soon as the Americans came on board, the British and whatnot are like, oh my God, this is so excellent. We can now put the screws on the neutrals. Before, they couldn't really put the screws on, I think, as hard as they wanted to, because the Americans were one of the neutrals and they have the biggest stick. I mean, now there's no one left that has a big stick. So, you know what I mean? They can do whatever the hell they want. And it's monstrous what they've been. So all the neutrals now are going to fall into line. You got no choice, I think. If our army does not help us to hold the shore of the Gulf of Riga, the road to Petrograd will be opened wide. General Kornilov, and that's the guy who just took over from Brusilov a little while ago. It has been said that the Russians always turn to Moscow in times of national distress. German airplanes continue raiding England. There's a big monster one. Remember, we saw this earlier in the week in the image of the day there. 108 got nailed in a naval barracks. And this is where I saw this thing. I'd never seen this reference before. Naval ratings, which is a term applied to men before the mast. I don't know what that really means exactly. Italian planes, 30 in all, bombarded Pola this week, the main Austro-Hungarian naval base. British and Belgian forces have linked up in East Africa. I thought they had before this. Maybe it's a bit more linking up. I don't know. The offensive of the Italians has amazed all the critics. This is what they're saying now. And, ooh, brother. And what is Meandering mentioning except in 1812? So now I've got to figure this out here. Is that about, well, you're going to have to give me a little bit more, whatever. Anyone who's anxious feels goosebumps run down their spine. Now, that one is why I don't have a little reference point for it is because I can't remember exactly. But then afterwards, I went, you know what, this is perfect because it's actually from one of William Aarons's ATAs, and I'm like, this one's been recorded, and it's after it's in the after hour show. So I'd be like, well, if you want to find out what anyone who is anxious feels goosebumps run down their spine, you're gonna have to watch. That's the way it's. Oh, cool! Thanks, Meandering Mike. This is nice to see. Oh, and they burned it. Holy shoot! I'll leave your thing on here for a sec because everybody can see above here. And then update on which World War I related games people have been played. I would love to know. And the Tolemykus engagement question of the week this week is how did the war in the Mediterranean differ from the North Atlantic campaign? That's my little pop-up question for this bit. And then we're going to go straight off to the trivia, and we're going to zip down relatively quickly because I wanted to notice this thing. Ooh, what's this? Brian Smith says, I saw a notice for an upcoming VUCA pre-order, Imperial Elegy, the Imperial World at War, 1815 to 1920. Whoa, that sounds amazing. Oh, nice one, Meandering Mike. The Sentans were better in the Med. I'm sure they bloody were. Anyways, here we go. So as we saw the last little bits, and here's our current point totals. And like I said, William Aarons, you're so flipping close to taking over Tolemykus. It's mind-bogglingly freaky. And here we go. I'm going to give you guys your first whatever here. I'm going to get rid of your. That looks interesting, Brian R. Smith. I'm going to have to go and take a look at a little bit more about. Ooh, geez, does that ever sound good? I'm sure they probably have some information already on BGG about that. I would assume that would be neat. Anyways, let's get to popping in. I'll start popping in the trivia. And you guys can't see that. For a minute there, I thought I was going to get scared. This one's a tricky one. I mean, the first clue I thought is, well, for me, I thought it was rather clever. But hold on, I'm going to put it in the comments, and then I'll pop it in the banners. And I was mentioned in Tuesday's headlines. Who am I? Oh, cool. This is amazing. Yosers. I got to pop in. Hold on there. Ouch. That's a lot of money, but I like this. Brian R. Smith says the rule book and the playbook are available so I can go and take a good peruse. That'd be awesome. Thanks a lot for mentioning that. And then I'm going to pop my thing back here. I was mentioned in Tuesday's headlines. I got to go back to the comments. Tolemykus says, Pumpernickel, you're going to get a point. You are incorrect. And then I'm going to pop in your second clue. Okay, we're 12 minutes in. Yes, because there's so much material that I want to cover, man. Oh my God, it's insane. Just insane. Let's see if it let me do this. And it did. And I'll pop it in the banners. I graduated from cavalry school in 1867, rose through the ranks, eventually became a general, then chief of the general staff, and finally minister of war. Who am I? And Meandering Mike's going to say assault with a deadly sandwich is only a misdemeanor. The news from Japan. Well, you're going to get a point, Meandering Mike, but you are incorrect. Oh, imagine I was thinking that. I think I mentioned it in this week's or in the after hours when I recorded the war summary. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to? Because you guys can see the difference when between the text in the ATAs, the wording, the way they say things versus the English newspapers. I would love to be able to get the German newspaper guys to write for the English papers in their way of style and vice versa. I would love to do that. That'd be so cool, but it's not going to happen. I guess we could do a pretend one. Anyways, let me pop this one in, and I'm going to get into here. I've got a bunch of pop. Oh, I did pot it in twice. Sorry about that. William Aarons says Kitchener. You're going to get a point, but you are incorrect. That's an excellent one. I'll be honest with you. William Aarons, I thought a lot of people were going to go for that one. Meandering Mike says Jack Davis. You're going to get a point. You are incorrect. Tolemykus says Eric von Falkenhayn. You're going to get a point. You are incorrect. And Harro Bosma says Patton. Oh, I like that one as well. Anyways, but you're incorrect. And did I? Nope. I'm going to pop in the Next clue. I was quoted stating, I have not read a military manual in 25 years. Oh, brother, who am I? And I'll put that in the comments as well. Oh, Brian R. Smith, he gets it. Hold on, I gotta put in I'll put it in the comments. Yes, Brian R. Smith, congratulations, you're gonna get it. Boy, oh boy, and even popped in the middle name there. Vladimir Alexandrovich, and it's the last word I have such a hard time with. Sukomlinov. And yeah, I'm gonna give you a point, William Aarons, for that. For Joffrey, yes, you did get it, Brian R. Smith. Well done. And you're going to get a point because I want to keep it really close between you and Tolemykus and whatnot. I'm being nasty, but oh well. Yes, Brian R. Smith, you got it. Nice one. I thought actually once I popped in I was quoted as stating I've not read a military manual in 25 years. I thought for sure people were going to get it. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pop this. I'm going to just do the banners now, the remainders, and then we can maybe go quickly. You know what? We'll go back at the very beginning here. So I said I was mentioned in Tuesday's headlines as being a little tricky because technically he was mentioned in Tuesday's headlines if you were in 1917, but he was actually mentioned in Thursday's headlines because we're in 2025. But I was like, oh, I'm just being a little dink. And yes, like you said, William Aarons, that's why I thought a lot of people were going to gravitate towards Douglas Haig and whatnot, just due to the fact that because of, or Kitchener, because he was also a cavalryman, we're going to go towards this, but nope, that didn't happen. Well, yeah, I guess you wouldn't have, yeah, you couldn't have said Haig. Nope, Kitchener, you're right, because he was never, Haig was never pretty close. Maybe he was. I was quoted as I've not read a military manual in 25 years. I don't exactly know when he got that quote as when he was a minister of war, but that certainly didn't sound very good. He was often blamed for my country's unpreparedness for the war. There's another, darn it, I can't remember the other. There was two big camps in the military, the Russian military, and he was like part of the old school, I think, still. And there was that new bit, whatnot. And there was that push and pull, whatever. This one I thought was really cool. I was arrested and imprisoned twice during the war, and the first time released early due to the persuasions of Rasputin. Yeah, he had a little word with the Tsarina, and she had a word with the Tsar, and that's that. But they said ironically. And it's happening. It's going to happen. It just happened now, I do believe. We were just that was the whole point of the headlines. Ironically, many believe that the public trial for my second arrest, and it supposedly was like maybe the very first public trial, but of the Duma or something like that the Duma held or something. I don't know. Whatever. Caused more harm to the government than any of the scandals with the Tsarina's confidant ever did. And I'm going to hide that so we can go to the comments so I can make sure that we're there. Oh, too many clues in the second one. Cool. And I like that one actually, Meandering, Mike. That's more or less kind of like interesting way of putting it. Anyway, so there you go. And who's that? Harro Bosma says Waygound. I don't know who that is, but I'm gonna have to write it down so I'll remember to go and look it up later. Hold on. I have to make sure that okay, we will get to look, everybody's gonna be good. So let's get back to, I can get rid of this, but I do want to kind of quickly show you. I think I have a picture of him or something, or did I? No, I'll just pop him on. Hold on here. Let me get back to him. There you go. See, oh, you goody. You guys can't see him now. And that's him. And I do know that, yeah, it was those two big camps. I can't remember the other person that it was, but I remember reading in, oh, darn it, the Prit Bhutar thing there, Clash of Empires or whatever, the very first book there with the Eastern Front. When I was all in a Super Tannenberg thing, which we're about to get to in a minute. You'll see why. And boink, we get back to this, and we're going to get to this. Boink. All right, so here we are. We're going to get to your logic puzzle in a minute. Hold your horses. I swear to God, Tolemykus, and get ready, Meandering Mike. I wanted to get quickly to the, wait a minute, did I not have the super duper? Yes, we do. So let's go to the grog. I wanted to quickly show this. Well, I'm not going to show them off, but you guys do want to pop these into the links. How do we do this? Hold on here. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you the, I can find them. So the grog shed popped by, and I'll let you see what he said. To me, I think I've got his thing in the banners. Where are you? Point. So this is the grog shed. Sent me an email earlier in the week. Says, hi, Chris, here's a little something that's different for you to watch and share. It's really quite an incredible short movie. Crank up the volume. I think we've mentioned this this channel before, but I would love to show it to you. And you remember this a little tiny bit. Anyways, they've got some amazing stop motion. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Hold on here. I want to get to. I'm going to stop the screen. And then we're going to get into a bunch of quickie ones so I can make sure that they're done. Okay, so hold on here. So this guy here, I'm going to get, oh yeah, you can see that. So this is this. Hold on here. Blink. It's this. The Battle of Verdun, World War I stop motion. I think we saw a little bit of this before. Oops, sorry, you guys can there and get rid of. Well, it's not too bad. Yeah, anyways, there's a bunch. They're so well done. Remember, I think we were watching a little bit when those poor little bastards were hiding in Fort Douaumont, getting just while the Germans are nailing them with the big howitzers or whatever, which I thought was kind of neat. Let's get back to the. There we go. Meandering Mike is very easy to pronounce his name if you can read. Yeah, the problem is, Meandering Mike, I can't even pronounce that. Probably. So we're not even going to go there. But anyways, let's get to the. So I've done that one, and then I'm going to go back to the banners, and we're going to show what Harro Bosma mentioned. And I just want to make sure that there we go. And this is the next one. This is from Harro Bosma, and I just want to get to the links and make sure that I got it right. And Harro Bosma been watching this channel for a while, and I guess they just started a World War I's bit.
That reading became more Germanic as it progressed.
And there they are. I want to show them up a little bit. And it says, hi, Chris. Hope all is well. I'm an podcast addict, and I've been following The Rest is History for a while now, as they are incredibly fantastic to listen to. Actually, why don't we do that? Let's go to their bloody playlist or something. And we can see what they've got there. That makes more sense. And then get rid of me. So that way you guys can see what they're doing. Rest is History for a while now, as they are incredibly fantastic to listen to, and they cover a wide variety of topics. The chemistry between the two hosts is also magnificent. They recently shared a series of World War I podcasts. Super interesting. Yes, of course it is. World War I. More World War I podcasts to follow. I can wholeheartedly recommend it, as it is full of anecdotes and a healthy dose of British humor. Best regards, and hope to see you Saturday, which we do see you Saturday, Harro. So it's super great. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. And Meandering Mike says the English transliterations of Russian are hard to read, in my opinion. Easier to learn the Cyrillic. Is that how you say it? I hope. Anyways, I'm going to get to this, and then we're going to stop the screen, and then I'm going to pop me presently for a bit, and then I've got to get back to showing you. What I really, yes. And then let's see if this works. Let's see if this what I wanted to do. We're going to get rid of the banner. And what did you say, Harro? Thanks for sharing. It's an epic podcast. World War I 1 to 4 are free. From 5 onwards, it's paid, unfortunately. Or maybe we just have to wait our turn, or just wait a little while. It's kind of like yep, that's what I'm going to do. I don't know about you guys, but I like buying old video consoles. If I don't look ahead, it doesn't matter to me. The old ones just look like, wow, look at all the graphics. I'm not used to it. So you know what I mean? Kind of makes sense to me. Okay, hold on. Meandering Mike says, yes, Russian alphabet is named after Saint Cyril. Oh, thanks, man. I had no clue. And let me pop in the Bloink. Good. All right. You guys can see that. Excellent. So did I start mentioning this at the beginning of it? I'm not of our thing. We're 24 minutes in. We're not doing too bad. Anyways, a little while ago, I did a World War I image of the day, and well, it was also yet again today. And one of our one of the people commented, Lee Fisher, and said, "Hey, wait a minute, my great grandfather served in Salonika." And one thing led to another. We talked, and Lee Fisher, Lee provided me. We was so gracious enough to provide me with digitized copies of his great grandfather Christopher Marsh. Anyways, this is what I've got little bits here. I think. Do I have them in the banners? Did I put it in? I don't think I did. No, I did not put. Oh, that's right. Because I did this thing. So hold on here. That's right. Hold your horses. I do have it as this. And you guys can see it this. Boom. So this is what Lee Fisher wrote. And then we're going to go take a look at Christopher Marsh's images. And that led me to going, hey, wait a minute. Let's see if I can find out a bit more information about Christopher Marsh. And then after that, I was like, let's find out a bit more about the Salonika campaign and share it with you guys, because I don't know too much about the Salonika campaign. I was like, well, I'll just copy the links and like all the stuff this week, in this show. Anyways, I went and popped in the links ahead of time, so you get, even if we don't see, if you see it super quick on the screen, you can always go to the sources and links, and this should be there if you can go and find out all kinds of stuff. But I really wanted to do this. This is one of the main things when I look at this, like same as you, William Aarons and Tolemykus and Meandering Mike and everybody popping in with all kinds of input about stuff I don't know about, all this engagement. This is exactly what I wanted to start this off with. And look what's happening, man. We're just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Anyways, here we go. Hi, Chris. Don't know a lot about him really, which is a shame. Christopher Marsh from the Northumberland mining town near Morpeth. Some of his descendants still live there. Served with Royal Artillery in World War I. The pictures were taken when he was in the Salonika region. We'll get to it. I should have done a little bit more prep ahead of time. The pics have some writing as well. He was hospitalized for a period of time with shell shock. He may have joined World War II. His son, also Christopher, was in the army for World War II or just before and was invalided out. Though he did throw a case of beer in the air when a Bofors AA gun on the railway in London suddenly started firing next to him. His other son was wounded, as I mentioned, in Liros. All of that generation of my family served in World War II, a bit after your period. As an aside, the Percys who married into the family, one served at Omdurman, and his son, perhaps, while serving in Egypt, was in the old film, The Four Feathers. And I went to look that up, and I think he's assuming, I guess, the 1939 film. And I thought, which was kind of cool, Charles Latorra, is you had mentioned The Four Feathers on Corvinus's wargaming thing earlier in the week during one of the live streams. You were saying, oh, I got to watch The Four Feathers again. And I went, what the hell? It's the second time I heard about The Four Feathers this week. So I thought that was kind of neat and wanted to bring it up. Anyways, then he sent me a further email after. I was like, is this okay for me to post this to everybody else? I don't want, whatever. And he's like, go for it. Anyways, did a bit of digging and interrogated my mom a bit more. And it seems that the son, Chris, did join the army, but when underage, having run away from home. So way before World War II. And his dad, Chris, went and got him. This fits in with a dim memory of him saying he saw a Whippet tank when in the army, which I'd forgotten. He did attend QA Military Hospital. I guess that must be Queen Anne's Military Hospital due to a dodgy leg, which a pharmacist mixed up a potion for. Could add that my uncle Harry was a stoker on tribal class destroyers, and there's so much stuff to look up here on the side. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell a tribal class destroyer is. I don't know what all these things. There's so much there. World War II and torpedoed twice. Holy shoot! He may have upped it by one. All the best, Lee. Thank you so much. And I'm going to pop onto the thing a bit here, because now I'm going to show you the scan showing the Salonika campaign in 1916, and we can go one thing from here to the other. Hold on here. And I thought this was hopefully you guys are going to like this. Did I do it? Yes, I did. Thank God. Thought I did. I didn't. Okay, hold on here. So I'm going to stop the screen, prevent the new one, or pop the new one in. So this is where I got the first. What in the world? Are you serious? Holy shoot! Yowzers! That must be one hell of a good story. My God, Meandering Mike, what the hell? That's even worse than King Kong or something, for goodness sakes. Don't you think? Holy moly. Hold on. I also want to see if I can get rid of the, I think I can get rid of the toolbar. I think that'll help get you a little bit bigger. And let me know if you guys, if that's not big enough. Thanks, man. You Mike. Oh my God. I just thought there was only 2 films. Holy shoot. Yowzers. I guess there's somebody probably watching. Anyways, this is where you're going to see the scan from. I got it from this book, and I thought for sure, it will work. There we go. And I'll pop it in into a different view for you guys, and just to kind of take a look to see where Christopher Marsh's great grandfather served, and the Balkans, 1916. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The Allies chose to set up another front based on Salonika, Greece. They hoped to give the Serbs a place to fight and help the Russians. And remember, originally, what I've been finding out anyways, I know they're lovely, aren't they? Meandering Mike. 1915, Venizelos, remember, was prime minister, and Constantine's the king, at loggerheads with each other. Venizelos invites the bloody French and British to land on Salonika there to help out the Serbs materially, whatnot. Gets ousted during that time. The British and French still go there anyways. And then, as we know, the Serbs end up not doing so well, flee across Albania. The British and French take them to Corfu. They rebuild the army, go to 1916, and here we are in 1916. But I think at just before the 1916 bit, I think the British were like, "Can we get the hell out of here? This is like, there's no point in us being here anymore." And I think there's a lot of other groups like the French and whatnot said, no, we're going to stick around. So, and here we are. Now we're in 1917, as we know. The Bulgarians are really putting it to them right now, as far as I remember. But anyways, let's just focus on this bit because I'm getting sidetracked. So I want to make sure I look back on the... Well, I don't think we're going to be looking at any pictures anymore. No, we're not. So I'm going to get rid of this temporarily. And I'm going to... Hold on here. I got to pop into the narrative. I just want to make sure that I'm... Oh, it's this one. I wanted the Salonika narrative. Yep. Or did I put them in? I did put it in the... Oh, goody, I did. Nice. And... Blink, blink. Good. You guys, we're back. And the novel was 1902. Thanks, Meandering Mike. Oh, really? That's interesting. Oh, of course. That makes a lot more sense now that you're clicking in. Nice one, Meandering Mike. Thanks. I'm going to get rid of your thing just so we can see the bits here. So I showed you the scan showing the Salonika. I'm just looking at the time here. Salonika. Wait. So we're going to go through these links rather quickly. I just want to show you what I'm going to be looking at very quickly, and then we'll get on back onto the Tolemykus thing. And then I want to make sure we get to the ATAs and whatnot. We have to zip very quickly over some of the stuff that I wanted to show you, but there's just no bloody way. Anyways, hold on here. I'm getting sidetracked yet again. I'm going to get to the links. The wrong links. I need where are you? I need the Salonika links. Oh, there we go. Manny Mike's got another thing for us. They said Austria-Hungary. It should be Austria-Hungary or Austro-Hungarian, 100%. That's another thing that drives me up the tree. I always feel sad when lots of times I do it myself occasionally. I think it's just for brevity or whatever. I'll not include Hungary. I'll just say the Austrians. And it's like, come on, man. That's not very, like Jesus H. That's not very nice. Oh, Tolemykus has got another good one. Hold on here. Oh, this is a darn good one, guys. This guy knows his stuff. Alan Wakefield, holy smokes. Like I said, you're not going to see this anymore. I'm going to get into the whatevers. And I really got to focus here. Sorry, guys. So you guys are going to be on your... Well, you don't need me around. Anyways, hold on here. I want to make sure that I share the screen. Doink. Oh. This place, away from the Western Front. And I think, anyways, where is he here? Alan Wakefield. This is the video that he does. It's narrated by Alan Wakefield. I'm going to get rid of me completely, so that way you guys can get some more, a bit better. So, anyways, I went here at first to go to the way from the Western Front, just so I could get a bit more information about Salonika, the Salonika campaign, which is pretty amazing. I think it said eventually they're going to have 600,000 British along that area. I was like, holy shoot. What else did they, oh, it's just abandoned Salonika, the Entente. Yeah, I was saying that early, man. October 5th, 1915, the British and French troops landed in Salonika. Pretty, I don't know about you guys. I think it's pretty relatively. I mean, it's, you know, a year and a bit into the war, but still. Anyway, so I went to here, and like I said, this is a fantastic website. I think we've mentioned it before. You can go all over the place. Look at this. It's just incredible. But like I said, we're here to focus on the Salonika campaign. So let me try to do that. Then I went off to here, which the reason why I went off to here is a biggie. This place, this website, the Great War Forum, is a heavy hitter. I'll be honest with you guys. When I started getting knee deep into this forum, it was at one point I was starting to think maybe I'm not going to do the channel anymore because this is just so engrossing, like for a Great War stuff. It was just like mind-boggling. Anyways, I went off to here so that way I could post and send, oh my God, would you still let me look at the pictures for Christopher Marsh, which we will. Is that I was going to go here and post for the Christopher Marsh and say, you know, this is the information I have. But for some reason right now, there it is. You see that where it says ongoing posting issue. It really sucks. It really sucks. I keep thinking of Alan Wake video games when I hear Alan Wakefield. I don't know that. I don't know of Alan Wake, Meandering, Mike. But anyways, it's too bad that but anyways, this website's there. So when they do not have posting issues, it would be nice to go there and see if I can grab some stuff. Then I went off to here because of the fact that he had mentioned, Lee Fisher had mentioned that his great-grandfather had been from Northumberland and was also in the Royal Artillery. So I started looking into here. This is a fantastic website. I think I mentioned this before. The Long Trail is freaking amazing. You want to get some in-depth stuff, holy jeepers jumping. You go into here and it'll take you forever to start reading some of the battles in the battlefield. The guy's amazing. This is a really, 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 really good website. Anyways, and then I went off to here because I think I'm down to 3 people. I think I've located it down to 3 people. You'll see why in a minute. So we get down to the lives of the First World War from the Imperial War Museums, and we get down to, you can see down to 8 people. Now, the thing is remember, he says that I don't know about Royal Field Artillery, Royal Garrison Artillery, just as Royal Artillery. I don't know what the heck any of these whatevers. And I'm going to pop Meandering Mike's thing here. Alan Wake, series of 3 action-adventure video games from the Microsoft Studios. Oh, I don't know any of them. Is that like the programmer or the title of the series or whatever? But what did you say? Video games. Oh, it could be. Anyway, so what I did was, all I did was go down to here, British Army, instead of, I know it's not in the Air Force, it's not in the Australian Air Force. So I went down to there. Then it popped me down to 5 people, but I know full well it can't be this guy because he died. Okay, thanks, Manny. Mike. Alan Wake was the main character. Thank you. Oops, sorry, that was a little too quick. But so, anyways, I'm down to 3 people. This guy, and I know it's not the Private South Staffordshire Regiment, so it's either this guy, or this guy. Good chance. Oh, what a bummer! I can't find any of the pictures, but not yet. It's just a little bit more info, and I should be able to. It would be neat to get. Then I went on to here, which is another fantastic website. The Salonika Campaign Society. Imagine this, an entire website just devoted to the Salonika campaign. That is pretty bloody amazing. Like, hold of course, what do you know? They got that video again by Alan Wakefield. That's so good. But I mean, goodness gracious me, this is fantastic. We have 20 minutes to go. I'm well trying to be as best as I can. This one I popped in because I know some people like Corvinus Wargaming probably could get this free. But it's the real story of the relationship between Britain and Greece, and it's by Cambridge Press, and they only give me the first 30 pages. But look at this. Wouldn't that be interesting to read? Goodness gracious. Sex is a cultural tool. Oh, I think we know what that means. And hold on. And then I went on to here. And it's the book behind me. As you can see, I don't know if it's a great book. I got it at the thrift store, but it's got some interesting information on stuff. But that's the book I have behind my head, and it's obviously good stuff. Anyways, just shush. Let's get to the next one. Oh my God! And there's the last one was going to be the Four Feathers 1939 film, but now we found out through Meandering, Mike, it could have been one of 100 practically. My goodness gracious! So I'm going to pop that in, and now I'm going to share the I'm going to share the images of Christopher Marsh, and I hope you like that. I thought it was kind of a neat thing to do. So, and I'm going to share the screen. Blink, and I'll get rid of me. And if actually, I'll try to. I'm trying to go this way. Anyways, that's him. It's not the greatest image, but like I said, it all started this off, and I thought it was really neat that this could be done. But this is here, Granddad Christopher, and it's this here. If I can just get this camp, I think that'll really get the ball rolling for me to start figuring out. I'm just trying to get the bloody. Oh, darn it, what do you call it? I'm just trying to get what units were actually there and then go from there. And then the next one was here. So I don't know, was he part of was it like horse artillery or whatnot? Because there he is on the left here. He's the only one with a mustache. And there we are. Oh, I did want to show one time. Thanks, Meandering Mike. I'm going to have to write this down. Hold on, I'm going to write this down. How about we go back to it again so you can get a better shot? How's that sound? I'll get back to this. And I'll try to blow it up a little bit more. Well, that's pretty darn good, eh? I can do this, though. How's that? I'm going to write that down that you did it. And then I guess just try to look for some kind of name that's like that around Salonika. I guess that's the best way to do it. I've no other way. Anyways, hold on. I'm going to get rid of this. Get back to me. So I hope you like that. And then I'm actually going to go very quickly because I wanted to show, and I don't think they're going to get into. I'm not going to get into trouble. I mean, come on. But I have to get to the. Oh, it's the wrong one. Hold on here. I got to get to the links. I don't think anybody's going to get angry at me. It's at 5 minutes and what did I write down? 5 minutes and 50 seconds. I just wanted to kind of get a little quick. Of course, I don't know if Lee Fisher's going to watch this or whatever, but if he does, like in maybe a little snippet to see what what his great grandfather may have had to deal with. Maybe. Hold on here. Let me get it into the. Are you serious? Meandering Mike, are you serious? Wait, kid. Oh my God, hold on here. I got to write this down. Hold on, I got to write this down. This is fantastic. Thanks, man. Oh my God, this is really going to save. Oh, I'll pass this on to Lee Fisher, now known as Lempit or Lembit. Okay. Wicked. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Well, you just saved a ton of time. That's for bloody share. Hold on here. Oh, that was excellent. And let's put this in here again. Get rid of this. And then, and it's 5 minutes and 50 seconds, roughly. And, oops.
The mouth of the River Struma. At its peak
There.
in the spring of 1917, the BSF numbered around 228,000 military personnel. The troops were a mixture of regular army, territorials and new army volunteers. However, the BSF was always short in terms of reinforcement manpower, ammunition and especially artillery, as the Salonika campaign was a very low priority for the War Office in London. The focus for BSF activity in 1917 and 1918 was a...
That's it. I don't want to get into crazy land. So that's it. That was good, I think, I hope. Now we're going to get into the other. Oh my God, 14 minutes left. Okay, hold on here. Jesus H. Christ. Let's hold on here. I want to make sure that I get back to the narrative. And get rid of this. Goodness gracious, how did that happen? Share the screen. Yeah, we're just going to go super duper ultra quick. Damn it, I wanted to show a couple of neato things. Well, darn it, we'll have to do it next week, Charles Sator. I really wanted to show this again for two reasons. One, it's like, well, one, to actually see Wilbur Wright. I was like, what the hell? And that he's in Italy showing off one of his airplanes. I thought was cool. Oh my God. And the second one is the fact that he brings a bloody motion camera on the plane. And it's not, I mean, you know, his planes, it's not like he's 100 feet up in the air. And they said it was the very first motion camera footage because this is pre-World War I, but I just wanted to pop it in anyways. Just due to the fact that we've been talking about Italian airplanes left, right, and center the past, practically past month. BGG game of the week ain't going to happen. Events calendar for National World War I Museum and Memorial. They're there. Not going to happen. I can't really show them because I want to get to the other stuff. Education calendars there, the here and there. World War I, I've got, I'm not going to be able to do that. I've got a wicked little thing for the artillery communication letter codes. I thought that was kind of neat. See if I can, you know what? Let's do this super quick and then I can get off. That's what I'm going to do. You're not going to see this. Well, look, I'm going to do this for you. This is all the neato little things that I've went and popped in. You can go along. Okay, thanks, Manny Mike. I actually, it's true. I don't. The only thing I have to do later on is go for supper with. I'm going with my sister and my mom later on, but that's not for many, many hours. Anyways, hold on here. Oh, goody. We'll just tell. But it's the main thing is I want to make sure that I do the ATA and whatnot. It's anyways. Hold on. Let's get to the thing. So I'm going to very quickly show you because they're really, some of these things are really, really cool. At least I think so. And I'm going to start sharing the screen. You're not going to see me because I want you guys to see the full on. And get rid of me. So this is artillery communication letter codes. And what do you know? It's that website again, the Long, Long Trail. But look at this image, guys. This is taking an aerial image of an actual bombardment. Look, you can actually see the bloody explosions. That is so cool. My God. Anyways, I just thought maybe if you guys wanted to see this, here, I'll bump it up. Oops, I did it the wrong way. What did I do? There we go. I went this way. All right. There, you guys can see that. Just thought maybe it'd be interesting if anybody wanted to take a look at some of the aircraft. I know, man. Like it's so. Look at that. Jesus. Oh. Anyways, let's get to the next link. Here's another one. These are just some links or whatever stuff I found in the past couple of weeks that I would just want to share with you guys, basically. Here we go. Here's another one. World War I photos. I just started breaking into this, but look at all this. Look at it. Bloody hell. I mean, come on. This is nuts. Ooh. Gave the War Room a fair try many times, but to be honest, I had a hard time getting into the show for the full 2 hours. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Brian Smith. I thought you're talking about the website, the forum I've been having a hard time posting with. Anyways, there we go. Look at that. My God, music and songs. Jesus H. Okay, hold on here. And then this one, just found out about it. I think it's because PBS has taken a beating. They got a lot of funding, whatever. But I thought I haven't seen this yet. This is the beauty, eh? I guess you know what's so wonderful about this, guys, is really. That would be nice. The lovely thing is I'm living off of whatever you call it, the breadcrumbs of the 100th anniversary. Everybody and their dog was starting to do 100th anniversary shows, specials, podcasts, everything. It's like, and I'm just raping it now. It's like, thank you very much. I'm loving it. Anyways, I wasn't interested in it at the time. I came about because I've been working on stuff with my narrative game, and I have to hold on here. I'm gonna look that up. Anthony Coyle.
So the Battle of Jutland actually looms very large in
why
history
not?
in the United States Naval War College. As early as September of 1916, the Naval War College ran an experimental game, which I think is pretty much derived from what they were running in terms of the Battle of Trafalgar. And they adapted that game, to do the Jutland game using naval attaché reports, newspaper accounts to reconstruct the battle. That were
Anyway, you want to see a little bit here?
derived from
They're all
the
on the
Battle of
table.
Jutland, after the First World War.
Where are they? I want them on the ground. Come on.
Very
Looking to see what we had about doing war games with the Battle of Jutland, because those are the
It's
things
so
that
cool to
distinguish
see
it.
this, man.
So when we were looking at all of
Okay,
our
so you
findings,
saw that, and then I'm going to go to the next. We did that. We did that. Oh my gosh, I think we're almost finished. I do want to show this rather quickly, so because there's a lot of really good stuff coming up here. Well, that for sure, I guess. I ain't going. But you got, that's good. Look at all this stuff, guys. Day in the life, gas warfare. That's on Sunday. That would be awesome. Belgium in the Great War. Pershing lecture series, the British Army. When's that one? Oh, goodness, look. That's going to guarantee it's going to be available online as well. Oh, I love it. And there's the biggie. I just got my tickets this week, or a ticket. I'm doing the online. I would love to go someday. This is the one I would probably really like to go. I can't afford to go to Kansas City this year. But it's this one here, the symposium. My God, let's look at this son of a bitch. Look at that. Oh, what's this? What's that? Who's going? Who's coming? Matthew Naylor doesn't really say who's the. Spies, ships, and swamps. The Singapore mutiny and the fight against colonialism in Southeast Asia. Wowzers. The air war, German underground warfare in Flanders, anti-tank mines, Africa, women in espionage. Oh my God. That's going to be fun as hell. Fun as hell to do that. Man, oh man. Hold on here. See, I'm really excited for that. And it's not expensive at all doing the online. It was the first time they did online was last year. And it went so well that they were like, let's continue. There's another one for the education news. But anyways, there it is. There's the symposium again. Look at this. Oh my God, that's the one thing I was actually looking at, counter technologies. I thought it reminded me so, I went and grabbed some of the lesson plans for this. Oh my God, Tolemykus, it had you written all over it, man. It was unbelievable. This month's museum mystery. Photograph below is an artifact from our collection. Can you guess what it is? Hospital number 15. Well, it's some kind of weird coffee thing for a map, do you think, or something? We didn't see this one. Oh man, that looks so cool. Simplified signaling code. Oh, brother. That would be funny. I'd like to get, we should see if we can download that. It's probably in the, well, you guys can't see. Hold on here. I'm going to get to here so you guys can see it better. Oops. I went so berserk. There we go. So can you read that a little bit? Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to get. Anyways, and then let's go to, I don't think we need to do this anymore. So I'm going to get to here. I'm going to stop this, and then we can go off to doing the, oops, sorry guys. And I'll pop in the narrative. Now we're going to go off to, did I mention, did I mention that there's a vassal module for Spence and Gables Tannenberg? Someone put it on BGG. I've got it in the sources and links. I was like, say what? That just knocked me sideways. And well, there it is. Let's go to, and then we're going to go off to the ATA. Hold your horses here. Let's go to the World War I narrative logic puzzles by Tolemykus. And this week it's going to be the vanishing of the Austro-Hungarian agent, 1915. And that's going to go more with the, it's going to go certainly well with the symposium, wouldn't it? And, oh, hold on here. Meandering Mike says, number 15, Canadian General Hospital operated from Clevidian Estate in Taplow of England and beginning in 1915, staffed by the Canadian Army Medical Corps. Whoa, Jesus Christ. Well, we'll find out next month. That'd be wild. All right, pop that in. Anyways, let's go to, I'll leave your thing on for a second. I got to get to the images because I did it as images. Is there any other neato thing? No. Oh my God. I did find, and I don't know how to download this. I'm going to have to show them to you right now. So this you can get on the Internet Archive. Oh my, look at this. I'm not kidding you. Look at this. You ready for this? History of the Great War, military operations of the entire Balkans from the British, whatever, 2 volumes. It's insane. It's insane. Oh my God. And look, another Cyril popped up, and we've seen him, Cyril Falls, before. He's done a ton of military stuff. But look at this. It's, oh my gosh, you guys can barely see. Oops, I did it again. God damn it. It does the wrong screen. There you guys can see it better. I want to get to the, did it show you the, oh my God, people, look at this. This is just volume 1. Look at that. Oops, sorry. Look at all that. But that also came just due to the fact that I was looking at, I was looking at the stuff for the Salonika campaign for Lee. Anyways, let's get to the pictures of the Tolemykus logic puzzle, which we were going to do last week, which we didn't do. We just didn't get around to it. I was really tired. I had to make sure that I had to go away for last week or 2 weeks ago for sure. What the hell did I have to do? I had to go see somebody. Anyways, let's get to here we go. Boink. And I'm going to get rid of me. Not now. It's okay, I guess. Anyways, World War I narrative logic puzzles or free form scenario starters, the Nanguea edition. Thank you, Tolemykus. And today, oops, ouch, stop you. The disappearance of Wait a minute. Oh, I just didn't finish it up. Maybe, or did I? Nope, I didn't. I didn't fix it up there. You guys can see that. Now I'm going to get rid of me. It makes it much better. The vanishing of the Austro-Hungarian agent, 1915. In 1915, Hungary was still part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and tensions were high along the Eastern Front as battles raged between the Central Powers and the Allies. One of the more covert operations in Eastern Europe involved an Austro-Hungarian intelligence officer named Erich Fischer. Oh, that's so interesting. Who had been tasked with infiltrating and gathering critical information from Russian military headquarters in Galicia, modern-day Ukraine. Now, why isn't it not letting me do this? Hold on. I'm going to get into here just to make sure that it doesn't seem to be very happy with me being able to do something. Hey, why are you not? Oh, I know, of course. What am I saying? I made it in such a way that I would only show up in the whole screen. There's nothing to show you guys. Oh, you silly buttons. Anyways, Fischer had successfully smuggled several valuable pieces of intelligence back to Budapest, but his most recent mission, which involved transporting critical troop movement plans, was sabotaged. On the night of his planned extraction, Fischer disappeared while en route to the designated extraction point in the Hungarian village of Sopron. His disappearance sent shockwaves through the Austro-Hungarian intelligence network, as it was believed that the intelligence Fischer carried out could have altered the balance of power on the Eastern Front. Various rumors surfaced. Hungarian military officials claimed Fischer was spotted heading into a local forest near Sopron. A fellow intelligence officer swore Fischer had been intercepted by Russian cavalry disguised as local Hungarian farmers. Fischer's secretive courier, a horse named Aladdin, was later found dead in a nearby river, but no sign of Fischer was found. French spies in the region claimed Fischer was seen on a riverboat heading south towards Serbia. Local villagers reported seeing two men wearing Austro-Hungarian uniforms near a farmhouse, but only one returned. Question: as an Austro-Hungarian field commander, what is the best course of action to locate Fischer and recover the critical intelligence? A. Send a cavalry unit to comb the forest near Sopron, focusing on any hidden paths or caves. B. Disguise a small team of agents as local farmers and infiltrate the Russian-controlled area near Galicia. I like that one. C. Dispatch a team to recover the dead horse's body from the river and search for any hidden messages inside its saddle. D. Arrange for a high-risk rendezvous with the French spies, hoping they can provide credible information. I mean, come on, man. This is if somebody had a good RPG thing set up. It's like just grab Tolemykus and you got one. Oh my God. E. Alert local civilians to keep watch for any suspicious activity and launch a general search of Sopron. And of course, if you really wanted to screw up your RPG, you could just only ever start with option F as the scenario. Oh my God. Anyways, clues and false reports. We got the option F in perfect time. Because now you saw that one, now you're going to see option F. Option F, give up. My God. Probably the best thing somebody could do. Agent Fischer was really Harry Houdini of Hungarian descent with his wife Bess Houdini, hid in a false compartment in a soldier's coffin and escaped with ease when the farmers buried him. Well done, sir. Oh, where the hell is bayonets to bullets? He's usually got, we'll start coming in with one of the options. So there you guys go. Here we go into the clues and false reports. The river where Aladdin's body was found was known for carrying both Austrian and Russian patrols at various times. The forest near Sopron had numerous secret hideouts used by both Hungarian partisans and Russian operatives. Fresh spies in the region. Whoa, it almost did it, you know. You'll see in a minute. Fresh spies in the region were notorious for spreading disinformation to confuse Central Powers forces. See what I mean? And almost did the full thing. A local farm had been used as a temporary hiding place by Austro-Hungarian operatives in the past. It was unclear whether Fisher's last contact was actually the courier or an imposter disguised as one of his superiors. And we're going to find out soonish, but I think we still have discussion questions, discussion topics. One, how did the complexity of intelligence and counterintelligence shape the operations of the Austro-Hungarian Empire in World War I? What role did local civilians play in covert operations during wartime? And how did their actions influence military decisions? I'm even thinking about, I'm just learning English. Don't have to pay me. How did espionage operations evolve over the course of the war, particularly in contested regions like Eastern Europe? What role did deception and misinformation play in World War I's covert operations? 5, how important was horse-based logistics and transportation in wartime espionage during World War I? And there we go. And you guys ready for it? The answer is A. What did I say? B. Didn't I say B? Yeah, I think I said something like that. Let's find out. The answer is A. Send a cavalry unit to comb the forest near Sopron, focusing on any hidden paths or caves. No, I don't think I said that one, did I? No, I did one. It's the fake farmers. Although other options might seem viable, a thorough search of the forest is the most likely way to uncover Fisher's whereabouts. The forest was known for being a hideout for both operatives and partisans, and it's possible that Fisher was hidden there either by his pursuers or local sympathizers. The dead horse C may offer some clues, but it's less likely to lead to Fisher directly. And disguising agents B, that was the one I picked, in Russian territory would be too risky, especially if you didn't know how to say things in Cyrillic, would be too risky without solid intelligence. I don't know if you can pronounce in Cyrillic or is it just spelled? I don't know. Meandering Mike's going to have to let us know. I never planned on releasing they were an exercise for other things I work on. Pilot cleanser, I guess. My God, Tolemykus, they're freaking awesome for sure. French spies D were unreliable, and general civilian search E would not be as efficient in uncovering something hidden in such a complex and dangerous environment. Thank you so flippin' much. All right, and then back to this, and let's take a quickie look and see what we got going here. It's 12:07, and I'm going to get back onto here. How am I going to do this? Oh my God, we didn't even do the articles. Everybody's going to be okay. Trust me. We're going to go to the article. But I want to show these super duper ultra quick. These are articles that I found. Like I said, I didn't pop them in the headlines or whatever. I remember there's 4 trillion articles every day. And I'm like, oh, I'd like to say this, but it's like, I mean, everybody's only got so much capacity. You did you? I think it was Meandering Mike who had commented that your stuff could get published for sure. For sure. You guys can see that. I'm going to make sure that it's a little bit bigger. Anti-conscription leader disappears. French say the military are responsible and that he is under arrest. Yet again, Montreal. That's why I was mentioning about Brian R. Smith. Anti-conscription parade is broken up again in Montreal. Montreal police met hail of bricks. Violent speeches are made. Thanks, William Ayres. Cyrillic is just the Russian alphabet. Thanks. Slavic languages use both the Roman alphabet and the Cyrillic one. Okay, thank you. Proposed strike proved a failure. Montreal anti-conscription organizations. Anyways, I don't know about you guys, but there does seem like a hell of a lot of stuff going against that militia bill act in Canada, in Quebec. That's for bloody sure. 300,000 autos used in war. I just thought that was rather interesting to see this. Germany has the list of belligerent nations with 100,000 of them. Britain has 30,000, and it goes on and on and on, telling you about how many there are. I just thought that was rather interesting because, yet again, it's still a novelty. This, yet again, about another novelty. Knocked my socks off. I was like, what in the world? So the exhibition in Toronto is going on right now, or just winding down, or it's finished. But look at this, because we're still, yet again, look what we're talking about. It's only 1917. Crowds flocked to Edison Tent to to hear the recreation. Above is a view of the Edison tent beside the art galleries, where Hardy Williamson is delighting and amazing thousands by singing in direct comparison with his recreated voice on the new Edison phonograph, thereby proving that there is no difference between the two. All seats are free. I just thought that was totally cool. French milk grows scarce. Its consumption in the cafes to be restricted after October 1st. And it's there. And Meandering Mike says many Slavic languages use an interesting mix of Cyrillic, Roman, and Turkic letters. Holy F. That must be an effing nightmare. I wonder how Corvinus Wargaming deals with this. Yet again, another Montreal thing with the anti-conscription stuff. Plotted to kill Prime Minister as well. The anti-conscription anarchists planned also to murder Honorable A. Meighen, and after Lord Athelstan, we'd already seen him a few weeks ago. And then 7 suspects are rounded up, accused of connection with dynamiting of the house of Lord Athelstan, which is yet again, it's just like there's a lot of stuff going on, man. The spy sent news to mother in Montreal. Arrested, but this is indirectly, but it's just still neat to see that talks about how this guy did it, how he was able to send some information about what he was saying about here, talking about ship movements, I do believe, or something. Yes, being able to send over maps, charts, etc. And then what else? Anything else? Nope. Just hold on here. No, that was it. The only other weirdo quickie thing was this, to be honest with you. I just found this rather interesting. I don't know if anybody's ever done a game, like gamed this or whatnot. It would be rather interesting to know. Is this little bit here? So this is Edith Wharton, and oh my God, I'm getting right down to the end of the book, for God's sakes. What a bummer. Is it says right here. The first line marked the canal, which is held by the French, who have gunboats on it. I was like, what? So it'd be interesting to know if there was any, like a certain scale of World War I games out there that actually had gunboats, right, as a counter or something. That'd be kind of neat. How am I going to do the ATA stuff? Now remember, William Aarons, I have your first ATA recorded right after the war summary. It's going to pop on in. My voice is starting to fall apart, and I'm also a little bit worried about people's things. So I think we're going to do the exact same thing I did last week, which was I'm going to record your part 2 and your part 3. And actually, I didn't even look at your naval thing that you sent earlier this morning. And I'm going to do those as separate pieces like I just did last week. So that way they're included straight up as actual real videos. But hold your horses. Maybe what I'm going to do yet again is... And I'm just going to quickly pop in Tolemykus' thing here. Made similar narrative logical puzzles. Really? Holy shoot. For American Civil War, Napoleonic World War II, and the First Crusade. Maybe I can upload them somewhere. Yeah. Excuse me. Side note. Okay. So boink, boink, boink. So what I'm thinking, William Aarons, there is actually one I did want to read before we go to the war summary. The after hours. This one I haven't even, I think it's part 3 or whatever. We're going to read your translator's notes, like I said, as a tease to get people to look on later. And because I've got to worry about. William Aarons says something. Bulgarian, Ukrainian, and Bulgarian use variations of the Cyrillic alphabet. Polish, Czech, and Croatian use types of the Roman alphabet. Languages have their peculiar accent marks for specific sounds. My God. Anyways. Your brain, the brain that can do that type of stuff. Translator's note. These articles are from Berlin's latest news, are from the issues published on August 25th, 1917. The first from the morning edition is a war report that includes action in Flanders that seems to have happened near the time of the visit of the Kaiser to that part of the Western Front. Like I said, I'll read this out later. I thought there was some more stuff, but I want to look at all the Canadian stuff, too. When I was reading this out, William Aarons was like, holy smokes. There is a ton of stuff here about their attack around Lens, Hill 70 and all that stuff. Yeah, don't worry about a new Russian offensive. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, brother. Aha, there we go. Translator's note. This second report from the evening edition is critical. Yeah, this is that's a monster one. I really want to make sure I get this done right, actually. Even I was having a good old time, William Aaron's, reading this privately this week by myself. And I was wondering, oh my God, man, Mike's going to have a field day with this. Because it's like, is that Dr. Junk or Dr. Yunk? I'm like, oh my God. And I have to say his bloody name every 5 freaking seconds in this thing. I was like, oh my God. Anyways, the second report from the evening edition is critical of a certain politician and Reichstag representative, Dr. Junk, let's go with that, about his proposal to allow members of the Imperial Federal Council to hold seats in the Reichstag by amending Article 9, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the Reich, which would draw them closer to the influence of the majority of the Reichstag. Nice one, Manuel. This was seen by the writers of this article as being out of step with the existing government's loyalty to the Kaiser rather than to a parliamentary majority. And internet's, damn it, I want to talk on the side of this, Manuel, Mike, and I have to before my mind forgets about it. Remember we saw that in the past couple of weeks too, of like, and even Charles Latoro was mentioning earlier on, going, did these guys surrender an entire division, or did they just surrender, or did they just go home? And they did go home. There was the other thing someone had mentioned, like the improbability of what was going to happen. I wonder if someone could gain that in whatever you have to roll each turn and go, well, sorry, actually, that nice solid line that you thought you had is not there anymore. Oh my God, that'd be wild. And this was seen by the writers of this article as being out of step with the existing government's loyalty to the Kaiser rather than to a parliamentary majority. Oh my God, actually, I do have to not read this article, William Ahrens, because there's something I have to take a look at. There's a word parliamentarianism and another word of it. I have to make sure I get the right one. Oh, fantastic, William Ahrens. All good. Internet's, hold on. This was seen by the writers of this article as being out of step with the existing government's loyalty to the Kaiser rather than to a parliamentary majority. Internet searches yielded no information of this proposed change of Article 9, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the Reich, nor the representative proposing it, Dr. Junk, during 1917, but that search said instead that the same proposal was part of the change in government that occurred in the autumn of 1918. It is also said that Dr. Junk, a member of the National Liberal Party, was in a picture taken in 1918. We'll find it, William Ahrens, which has also included Friedrich Ebert, the future chancellor, and Matthias Erzberger, both prominent social democrats. Well, you did find the picture. Despite the fact that it was reporting about a proposed amendment to the Constitution that went nowhere in 1917, this opinion piece exposes the earlier cracks in the solidarity of the German imperial government, which was still dependent at this time on the Kaiser, being the acknowledged and unquestioned leader of his Prussian subjects, as well as the subjects of other German kingdoms, principalities, and dukedoms that made up the German Empire, through the allegiances that those kings and nobles, such as those of Bavaria and Saxony, had pledged to him. On a side note, William Ahrens, I'm just going to say this. When I was reading this, the lovely thing is, for me, is I'm still not in my head knowing how the German government system works. And your articles, your translations that you are bringing to light, that I'm going to record separately, and I've already read, so I'm lucky, the lucky devil. I know ahead of it's bringing a lot more for me to see how it is. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, because it is. So we can see this pull towards the democratization and the pushback. It's awesome. So thank you. This column proves that already in August 1917, there was a call for members of the Reichstag to have increased governmental authority placed on them as the elected representatives of the German people, thereby becoming part of a constitutional monarchy with a more democratic structure. And holy smokes, William Ahrens, does that article ever spell it out, like one after the other? It's amazing. Oh, okay, you did not see the picture. Then we're going to find it. What do you think? Why not? Darn right. What do they say? Challenge accepted. That's what I'm going to go with. Anyways, the opposition to any democratization of the institutions of government shows how the demands for such governmental reforms in Germany by the members of the Entente, as well as by the US government under President Wilson, were being met with a complete resistance by the German government, which saw such calls for governmental reform as being against the historical nature of the historical and established rights and regimes of Germany. And like I said, I got to read ahead. And when they start comparing like what happened with the English, and it's awesome stuff. So thank you. Now we're going to go off to ATA 3 and read your translator's note, and then we're going to go off. I'm going to say goodbye and turn into a texter like you guys and watch the after hours, the war summary, and then William Ahrens' part 1 of the ATAs. Translator's note. Here are reports from Berlin's latest news from August 31st and September 1st of 1917. Both are reports from the higher headquarters. They are printed in bold type. The August 31st excerpts includes a report of the resignation of the entire Polish government that was operating on land controlled by the Central Powers, a short paraphrase on how the peace proposal of the Pope was faring with the Entente, and an article concerning Lloyd George's proposal to ask the I wanted to read this one this week when I saw it, to ask the colonized peoples of Africa by which colonial power would they prefer to be controlled. Oh, darn it. It's Dr. Junk. Oh, Harro Bosma. Dr. Junk. Dr. Junk. So it's not Dr. Junk. Junk. Dr. Junk. I shouldn't do that. I'm going to turn into a whatever. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, I really did want to read it, but let's see how long it is. But I've also got to, everybody's got to do stuff here. Where's that? Where is it? It would be nice to read it, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you? Look at, oh my God, and there's another bit here. Look at this. Besides the report from the higher headquarters, these articles include reports from the War Sea. Oh my God, that was another thing I popped in the sources and links. I found the link for, they've got the actual log notes. And I was thinking of you, again, Charles Latoro, with your bloody U-boat game there. And they've got the actual logbook of the U-boat commander that nailed the Lusitania. And you can read it. It's awesome stuff, because to him, it's just another ship that he nails. And he continues on with his mission. And it's like, holy Christ, it's just really, really like the German J is pronounced like the English Y. So it's pronounced Dr. I'm not going to even try. We're going to wait. We'll wait. But anyways, one of which is a look back at the exploits of the U-53 Captain Rose in 1916 and his navigational abilities that allowed him to cross the Atlantic Ocean unaccompanied by any other ship. Anyways, I do have it in the sources and links for the U-boat dude there, for the Lusitania. Oh shit! What did he do afterwards? Remember, there was something else he did, and there was some double whammy with him. Darn it! I can't remember. There was some, whatever. But anyways, a fascinating read. I was just like, it's so cool because it really gives you the for me, anyways, of like learning. Like he's like really happy that the pilot that they got knew a lot about certain British ships. He was able to figure out like, oh, no, it's this ship from like a certain distance and figure out their tonnage. It was just awesome stuff. It was really, really neat. Cool. Forget it, Harro Bosma. I'm not even going to try. Manny Mike says, what? Yes, exactly. That Manny Mike, that's what I was thinking all the time. I was like, I can't do this. And I was also thinking about The Simpsons and like, hey, you get it, Dr. Nick and all that stuff. Whatever. Pop this in, just me now. And then, like I said, we're about to go into the prop one. God, 24 minutes after the whatever. We're really into after hours, but my voice is going to toast out. So William Ahrens, again, thank you so much. I'm going to put, like I said, I'm going to do separate recordings this week. Like again, this is another sweetheart in a weirdo way. It's sad. I would love to be on every week. weekend, but it's allowing me to do to start. Remember, there's 4 trillion orphans that have been left on the wayside from all the live streams that I'm like, oh, we'll get to it, and I don't get to it. That type of stuff. God, I still want to finish off, especially due to the fact I'd like to do it. By the time we're getting close to 1 year that Mark Ruggiero left us. And, I'd like to make sure that I got, like I said, the Mark Ruggiero Great War bibliography set up and all that type of stuff. There's a bazillion things allows me to get that type of stuff done during the off week and be able to do things like that and then connect those dots, whatever. So thanks again, everybody, for showing up and all the freaking input and engagement that you bring to the show. It's awesome. My God. And I'm just going to, we're going to go off to the after hours now. We'll watch the war summary, or for whoever hangs around. Then we're going to go off to the ATA, the Aaron's Translation Nutrition, the first part. And away we go. And I hope you guys have a great time. And thanks again. I'm going to pop this on to get it ready for you guys. And William Aaron says, thank you, William Aaron. I know. It's just, oh my God. Do you know what I just noticed? I got to show you. Mary mentions that's why I took a 2 month. Yep. And it drives me nuts. I'm like you, Meandering. I can relate to you, Meandering, Mike. Is that it was just like, and they're just falling by the wayside, and I was like, it starts driving me nuts. I'm like, didn't I say I was going to do this, and I don't do it, and it's not fun. You guys want to see what I got to see as I'm preparing for the after hours? Oh, watch this. Well, you're going to see, because I'm about to disappear. Look at this. You guys notice? Set up for Patton's first victory. And I'm not going to watch it yet, obviously, but let's give the thumbs up, huh? Isn't that cool? Oh, I think that's so neat. All right, hold on here. Let's get to the playlists. And then I get in there. So anyways, I'm about to turn off my microphone. Thanks again, guys. And see you in a little bit. Wait a minute. Okay, I just had a heart attack there for a minute there. I was like, I didn't boot up William Aaron's ATA. It's right after. See how I got it? So it'll go as soon as I finish the war summary. Boink, it'll do that. Thanks again, guys. Off I go. All right, here we go for live stream 128, the after hours show for the war summary, August 31st to the September 6th, 1917. Cadorna is making it hot for Austria. So hot has it become that Emperor Charles has been forced to abandon his intention of visiting Trieste, the queen city of the Adriatic. This main objective of the Italian offensive is being seriously threatened by the fire of the Italian and British warships, which are also concentrating a devastating fire on the Hermata group of mountains, which formed the last serious obstacle on land to advance on the prized city. According to a statement issued by the Italian embassy in Washington yesterday, the enemy has been forced to another withdrawal on the Benzisa Plateau. The western slope of the Slemo has been taken, and the Austrians are making a last but hopeless stand on Nakabil. General Cadorna's irresistible troops have so far reclaimed 300 square kilometers of the Irredenta. The War Office at Rome yesterday reported the repulse of counterattacks and the capture of 560 prisoners. It is significant of the waning military power of Austria that every gain made by the Italians in their present campaign has been firmly held, and that nowhere, even though aided by the tremendous natural advantage of holding the higher positions, has the enemy been able to gain a single success. Major General Maurice, Director of Operations at the British War Office, points out in his weekly talk, didn't work. I thought it would. Hold on. Okay, it did work. I'm trying to get rid of the title thing so I can get a bit more space here and I have the toolbar. Anyways, that's a long story short. Accentuated by stormy weather, has come in the operation extending from the North Sea to the Italian Sea coast. He explains that the apparent cessation of active fighting on the Isonzo front is necessitated by the advancement of the artillery positions, which in that theater is an exceedingly difficult task. General Maurice says that it is a race there between Cadorna's offensive and Austria's defensive maneuvers. The enemy is rushing reinforcements from the Russian front, where their need seems to be daily lessening. Little doubt remains in the minds of military observers that Cadorna can outspeed the foe. Rain and a high wind continue to make fighting in France and Flanders almost impossible. With the exception of German counterattacks in the Verdun region, which were promptly repulsed, trench raids constitute the only activity. Major General Maurice and Mr. Stuart Lyon both made illuminating comments yesterday on the results of the recent battles in the Ypres and Lens regions. Both asserted that Haig's policy of attrition is affecting Hindenburg's armies to an increasingly visible degree. They pointed out that the unusually large number of German divisions represented in the recent fighting in northern France and Flanders is clear proof that the enemy's manpower is rapidly waning. As Minister of Justice, I abolished the death penalty, but as Minister of War, I decided, if necessary, partially to reestablish it. This reestablishment hurts to the very soul, but for the salvation of the country, we will kill with all our souls. The army must be organized and disciplined. Holy smokes. Thus, Premier Kerensky, at the conclusion of the Moscow conference, showed how determined the new government is to restore discipline and save the nation. The announcement by the War Office at Petrograd yesterday that a large portion of 2 regiments had withdrawn from their positions in the Fokshani region on the Romanian front without making any resistance clearly shows how urgent the need is for the sternest measures. A high British military official yesterday expresses wonder that, in view of the paralysis of the Russian army, the Germans had not made greater progress on the Eastern Front. A Washington dispatch says that new naval devices applied through the cooperation of the British and American forces in European waters have had a noticeable effect on the enemy's plunger war. Merchant vessels, the dispatch continues, engaged in carrying supplies to Europe have had their losses reduced to 0.5% through the protection afforded by the new devices. What the improvement is in the methods for saving merchantmen is, of course, kept a close secret. So proof of its efficiency must be awaited in the shipping loss figures to be issued at subsequent dates. Oh boy, yeah, this one was a hard one to read. British forces in Palestine advanced their lines, so it's going to be a slow one, advanced their lines on a front of 800 yards southwest of Gaza, some 40 miles or so from Jerusalem. A supplementary surrounding army force has been solidly supporting army force has been solidly entrenched in Gaza for some time, and the fighting there has lately assumed many of the well-known characteristics of campaigning on the Western Front. The attack of the British was not on a very large scale, but it is probably the beginning of an offensive of some magnitude against the Turkish positions. It should also be considered in the light of recent developments in the campaign of the Arabs directed chief against the railway line, the most important means of communication for the foe enemy. The campaign in Mosul in Mesopotamia and that in the Caucasus against the Turks though remote from the activity in Palestine, nevertheless of importance in the general schema of the region in the Asiatic sphere of warfare. It is not unlikely that Maud in Mesopotamia, Allenby in Palestine, and the Russians in the Caucasus are all working together on an allied plan. The Germans were compelled some time ago to have sent artillery and a number of troops to Gaza, and it is expected that the fight for this place will be an obstinate one. 600 more prisoners have been taken by the Italians in hard fighting, which continues on the Isonzo front. The Italians have captured some important positions on the northern slopes of Monte San Gabriele, and if these can be extended so as to give them possessions of the height entirely, it'll be a great aid in the moment toward Trieste. I guess it'd be Gabriele, I guess, if it's Italian. General Cadorna's men have still an amazingly difficult task before them. and no doubt will later on be subjected to great counterattacks by the Austrians, who are likely to be strengthened by German troops. This does not mean that the German armies are strong enough to permit of the defection of any of their units to aid other deflection of any other, I was thinking of Russia, of any of their units to aid other allies as a matter of course, but it is the fact that the Austrians are so hard pressed that they must have adequate assistance very soon if they are to save Trieste, or even to prevent an invasion of Austria via the northern route. Reports that Allied warships are to attempt an attack on Pola, the naval base of Austria, where the fleet of that country is said to be bottled up, may be true, but for the present it would appear that the Allied monitors and warships will have all they can do to continue their bombardment of coast positions in aid of the Italian land forces. An attack on Pola could not be attempted by the monitors alone, and until the Austrian fleet is compelled to emerge there, would be some danger from submarines and mines to an Allied fleet lying off the port in wait for the Austrian ships. Berlin makes no claim to any further advances on the Russo-Romanian front, where the Russians, it is said, are rectifying the line pierced as a result of the withdrawal without orders of some of their regiments. There's been some fighting on the northern end of the line, and the Russians report that the German torpedo boats, submarines, etc., are very busy in the Baltic, and particularly off the Gulf of Riga. The situation here is not at all cheering for the Allies. The troubles in Finland complicate the difficulties the Russian government must face in the defense of the seacoast portion of its northern line. And as there are many Finlanders in their fleet, there's a good deal of anxiety on this score. On the Western Front, there's not been any important infantry fighting. The Germans claim the recapture of part of the ground taken by the British near Langemark, but as now, this is not a daily claim with them. It may be dismissed without comment. On the Verdun front, the indications are that the foe may soon launch a great counterattack, as his artillery is showing great activity. Hartmann's Wellerkampf in Alsace, which used to figure very largely in the dispatches at one time, is again mentioned as the scene of a spirited attack by the Germans, which was completely repulsed. The French hold commanding positions here, and it has always been felt that sooner or later they will launch from them a new drive in Alsace-Lorraine. The British reports speak only of raids, but mention that the weather is still unsettled. There has been some lively fighting on the Macedonian front, where intense heat prevails, according to Berlin. The Germans report that British and Serbian detachments were repulsed at various sections of the line, but no one else apparently knows anything of these engagements. It has been expected for some time that an offensive would be launched on a considerable scale in this area, in spite of the great difficulties which face those undertaking attacks. And it is still believed that the Allies are only awaiting the linking up of the Greek army with their forces before reopening a campaign which would not be waged for a great length of time before the winter would check activities. Light British naval craft operating off the coast of Jutland, Denmark, destroyed 4 German minesweepers yesterday. The brief British official report of the encounter is supplemented by reports from Danish and other neutral sources, which declare that 100 sailors landed from the wrecked vessels, a number of them badly wounded. German submarines and airplanes, as well as a Zeppelin, which was apparently trusted to keep a sharp lookout for the Allied ships, are said to have taken part in the engagement. And it is stated that one of the planes was brought down by the British guns. Some accounts charge that the Hun boats, after they had fled into neutral territorial waters, continued to fire on the British ships, and others say that the foe U-craft submerged so quickly that several members of their crews could not get below and were drowned. It is surmised that the sweepers were engaged in removing Allied minefields with a view of widening the zone of safety for their subs and light craft, and were confident that proximity to their own main fleet and the wide range of observation of their Zeppelins offered them sufficient protection from Allied warships. German troops have been rushed to the assistance of the hard-pressed Austrians on the Isonzo front, according to prisoners taken by the Italians, who are pressing on in various areas of the line and beating back counterattacks at others. It is also asserted that the Austrians are bringing back some of their own troops from the Russo-Romanian front in the hope of stemming the Italian tide. dispatches to the Italian embassy at Washington continue to be couched in an optimistic strain. One of these, received by the Globe last night, quotes General Cadorna as expressing his belief that the Italians are within reach of their objective points, and that the battle, considered in the light of its probable results, is the greatest of the present war. This dispatch is definite in the assertion that fighting is in progress on a front of 75 miles, as against the 37 or 40 generally referred to in recent reports, and makes the assertion that while progress is naturally slower on some sections than in others, the enemy is yielding ground at every point. Under the precipitate nature of the Austrian retreat on the right wing and in the center, says the enemy, abandoned among other material over 1,000 yoke of live oxen. There are signs, however, that the retreat of the enemy is becoming more orderly, presumably because of the reinforcements that are reaching him, and he is now burning and otherwise attempting to destroy everything that he cannot carry away, and which may be useful to the Italians. For the moment, the greatest effort of the Italians seems to be concentrated on San Gabriele, on the northern slopes of which height they have made some progress. This commands positions which in turn have a bearing upon Monte Armada, nearer the coast, and which must be taken before the movement on Trieste can be made with success assured. Reports are current that the monitors of the Allies, with other craft, have been shelling the Austrian fleet in the harbor of Pola. Petrograd sends out a report, which is a mixture of bad and good news. It announces that the Germans have crossed the Vina River, southeast of Riga, and are advancing in a northerly direction, Russian troops counterattacking without success. Southwest of Riga, in the region of Mitau, the Germans are also attacking. Thus, the drive on the Riga seems to be well underway, and on the Russian admission, there does not seem to be much hope of checking it just now. We may hope that Petrograd is unduly pessimistic over the situation. In the Kovel area, the Russians speak of German attacks following the discharge of gas being repelled by our reserves, which have now arrived. This may mean that trustworthy troops are beginning to take the place of men whose instability jeopardized the whole situation on the Russian front. In the Romanian area, the Russo-Romanian armies are offering a stubborn and more successful resistance to the Teutons, and are once more undertaking counterattacks. Though Berlin claims the repulse of these, it has nothing to say of the failure of the Austro-German attacks in this region. French forces, by a single stroke, have gained ground on a front of a little over a mile on the ridge of the famous Chemin des Dames, northwest of Hurtebise, where there has been some bitter fighting during the past few months. The German counterattacks were not long delayed, and Berlin advances the usual claim of recovering most of the ground lost. But Paris dispels this idea with a later report showing that our allies extended their gains and held them against all attempts at recovery. Ground gained here is of importance in the event of the Allies being able to break through the German line farther to the west, because it is of a great vantage point for flanking attacks that would turn a German forced retirement into a rout if a blow could be struck at the right moment. So long as the French hold the ground they've gained in this area, the foe will always be in danger of a combined attack that will mean disaster for him. Elsewhere on the Western Front, activity has been confined to raids and to artillery exchanges. The weather does not yet appear to be settled. In Macedonia, there's promise of fighting on a large scale. Both sides claim to have attained some successes in combats on the Vardar front, and the probabilities are that neither was particularly successful in the enterprises underway, and which may be preliminary to an attempt at a big drive. French, Italian, British, Serbian, and Greek troops are all mentioned in the Allied reports as taking part in the combats. Export regulations on Swiss chocolate for Central Power countries have been made by the Allies, who agree to purchase the excess chocolate production. The United States is a party to the agreement. This is the first real turn of the screw since Washington decided to take a hand in checking the sending of food supplies from the neutrals to foe countries. Riga, Russia's principal Baltic port, has been abandoned to the Germans, according to an official statement from Petrograd. Many will recall in this connection the statement made by General Kornilov at the recent Moscow conference. If our army does not help us to hold the shore of the Gulf of Riga, the road to Petrograd will be opened wide. The evacuation of Riga was brought about principally by the instability of Russian troops, who withdrew from certain positions without orders. Again, it was hastened by the success of the foe in crossing the Dvina River southeast of Riga, while another Teutonic force attacked southwest of the place. It is not known how strong a Russian force was in the vicinity, or in what manner it is protected from serious consequences as a result of the abandoning Riga, but it is likely that the developments in this area will necessitate, good Lord, an adjustment of a considerable portion of the Russian line southward. The Russian army was displaying its old fighting spirit there, would be some hope of recovering the place. From Riga to Petrograd is some 350 miles, over a route which is regarded as almost impassable for large armies, and which contains many swampy areas. But there is no doubt that if von Hindenburg decided upon such a venture, he could make his way to the Russian capital, provided that his forces and resources were in keeping with his plans. Only by the most energetic action of the Allies on the West Front and elsewhere, and the coming of the Russian winter, would it seem possible to turn the Teutons from further successes of magnitude on the Russian front. An early announcement that the capital has been removed to Moscow is anticipated. It has been said that the Russians always turn to Moscow in times of national distress. The city is regarded as the genuine Muscovite capital, and while there are still many contradictory views of the recent conference held there, it is hoped by the best elements of the country that it is to be an augury for a brighter future. Oh, brother. It is cheering to turn from the Russian front proper to the Romanian front, where the Russo-Romanian armies are not only stubbornly resisting all the Teuton attempts to advance from the south and the west, but are repeatedly counterattacking with energy and vigor. The bravery of the Romanians is also beyond all praise, and the Russians who are with them are also entitled to credit for their gallantry they are showing. Well, it is true that Berlin claims to have taken 1,650 prisoners and 6 guns in fighting here since August 28th. The German official report, in the wording, admits a measure of success for the Allies in the latest conflict. It says, between the Sushitsa and Putna valleys, our regiments, by counterattacks, repulsed strong Russo-Romanian attacks. Only 200 Allied prisoners were claimed in this latter fighting. Mackinson is not having such an easy time on this front as he had anticipated earlier in the campaign. 500,000 men, following the advancing Italian armies, have transformed much of the conquered territory on the Isonzo front, according to dispatches. This great army, it is stated, has repaired many of the existing roads, portions of which had well nigh been obliterated by shell fire, has made a number of new roads, and has built emplacements for the heavy guns which have been brought forward. At the same time, vast quantities of munitions and supplies have been carried to the new fighting lines. Some of the new placed heavy artillery, indeed, is now pounding Austrian defenses preparatory to a new advance. For the moment, there are no signs that the offensive is to be abandoned for any length of time, though periods of rest for the fighters and time for new dispositions are most essential in battles of the nature of those which Cadorna's armies are waging. A further advance has been made in the district south of Gorica, but it is unlikely that attempts will be made to push the much farther into Monte San Gabriele, and other positions to the north have been reduced by assault, unless indeed they could be isolated. On the other battlefronts, no events of great importance are chronicled. The French have repulsed a number of attacks in the Ain region, while the British have frustrated enemy attacks on advanced posts south of Havrincourt and have also carried out a number of raids. The weather gives promise of clearing, and new and vigorous Allied attacks may soon be recorded. In Macedonia, the foe claims the repulse of French and Serbian attacks. German airplanes made another raid over the southeast coast of England on Monday night and dropped bombs at various places. The official statement says that no reports of losses have been received. Another air raid on England, in which points on the coast as well as the London district have been bombed, is officially announced. No details are as yet available. The Germans have evidently determined upon a series of such raids to be maintained so long as weather conditions permit. They are finding that their airplanes are more effective than the Zeppelins were in this kind of work. And as some of their new machines are very fast, it will require considerable resourcefulness on the part of the British to keep them away from their objectives. It is certain that the repeated journeyings of foe aircraft are gaining for their aviators a good deal of useful knowledge as to time requirements, direction, etc., which will aid in future attacks. In the absence of particulars of the latest raid, German aviators can at least lay claim to having inflicted some military damage as a result of raids over England. London officially announces that 108 people were killed, holy moly, and 92 injured when 6 German airplanes on Monday night raided the Clapham Sheerness area and the Isle of Thanet. Of the casualties, 193 were among naval raidings, the term usually applied to men before the mast. A Chatham dispatch says that one of the bombs dropped struck a naval barracks at the Great Naval Depot, and that this caused the heaviest loss of life. It is asserted that the Chatham dockyards and other important points were not injured. The raiders were proceeding towards London, it is believed, and on their way up the south bank of the Thames estuary, they dropped their bombs on Chatham. Men of Manitoba and Alberta figured in the latest operations around Lens, which have resulted in a Canadian advance on a 600-yard front to a depth of 250 yards. This advance was made due north of the coal city and gives another favorable position for observation. A large number of Germans were killed in the fighting, and the prisoners taken were found to belong to the 2nd Guard Reserve Regiment. A French unofficial report declares that Western Flanders is being evacuated as far as the line of Courtrai-Thurow to the east, respectively of Ypres and Dixmude. It is added that Rulers is under bombardment by the British and that civilians from that place are going to Ghent. The context of the report makes it apparent that the evacuation is for the present confined to the civilian population, and it is probably on order of the Germans who, if forced to retreat or decide upon withdrawal, would not be hampered by any movement of civilians on the roads and other routes. Pending official confirmatory reports, it is not safe to predict on the basis of the French story that the long-predicted retreat of the German forces has begun. The military critics have reiterated the opinion recently that such a movement was due, and that it would certainly be attempted in the near future if the Germans could not retake from the French their last positions on the Aisne or check the steady advance of the British forces on other parts of the front. A feature of the French report of yesterday is the great work credited to the airplanes in bombarding many positions of importance behind the enemy line. Among these were a number of points in the Alsatian area, including Metz, in which direction it is thought that an offensive may be launched. Elsewhere on the French front, there have been no startling developments, although a raid on a big scale in the Champagne, in which French troops penetrated to a considerable depth, gives promise of a big movement. British airplanes have conducted a series of raids over Belgian positions, particularly in Bruges and vicinity, where the German U-boats have their inland base. It is natural that the Germans should make holiday over the taking of Riga. Their official reports claim the capture of 150 guns and some thousands of prisoners. The gun captures are not heavy, considering the demoralized condition of the Russian armies, which are retreating fast towards Petrograd. But there's room for anxiety in the report that the Germans are viciously attacking the Russians on their line of retreat and threaten to still further demoralize them. The various reports of the fighting show that a considerable portion of the Russian forces made a brave stand in the beginning of the Teuton drive towards Riga, constantly attacking and advancing with their flags unfurled and singing the Marseillaise. They received no support, however, from other sections of the army, and when German reinforcements were brought up, were compelled to hurriedly retreat. Colonel Shumsky, a noted Russian military critic, is one of the opinion that the German offensive cannot be carried to a point where it will seriously threaten Petrograd. The rainy season, he says, will begin in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and the bad roads and swampy country, as well as the fortifications and sections of the region to be traversed, will, in his opinion, prevent a move on Petrograd this year. Riga, he says, was the German objective, and perhaps Reval, but he doubts if a move will be attempted against the latter at this time. In Romania, the Russo-Romanians are still offering a stubborn resistance to attempted foe advances. The feature of the Italian report is a statement that 30 airplanes flew over Pola, the Austrian naval port, and bombarded the enemy's fleet and military works. It is declared that 9 tons of bombs altogether were dropped on the objective, causing great fires, and that all the Italian aircraft returned in safety. That's impressive. If it is true that Allied monitors and warships are also shelling Pola, the reason is furnished for the hesitancy of the Austrian fleet to emerge. But unless the attacking fleet is stronger than that in the harbor, the failure of the Austrians to come out and give battle rather than be constantly bombed by airplanes is inexplicable, except perhaps on the theory advanced by some writers that many of the heavy guns have taken from the ships and sent to the Isonzo front to aid in the battle against the Italian land forces. Letters taken from Austrian prisoners and dead on the Isonzo front depict much suffering in their native country, the shortage of food and the high cost of the same having resulted in great privations, especially among the classes from which the army is raised. I don't want to know what that meant. Italy appears to be on the eve of the great victory, modestly but confidently, talked about by General Cadorna a few days ago. Monte San Gabriele has been captured with nearly 1,000 prisoners, giving domination of the Gorizia area, and the battle on the Benzizza plateau has been resumed with important advantages to our allies, who captured there yesterday 86 officers and 1,600 men belonging to 10 different regiments. The fate of San Gabriele was practically sealed when Monte Santo, the height which dominates it, was taken recently. If the Italians take Monte Saint Daniele, they will not only be sure of complete domination of the Benzizza plateau and the plateau of the Vipacchio, I guess, but they will be in a position to push on into the Chiapovona plateau and drive a wedge between the Austrian armies to the south and those on the north. With the heights mentioned in their possession and with the occupation of the Benzizza plateau completed, Cadorna's armies would be masters of the situation indeed. They could then hardly be prevented from developing their gain to a point where all the Austrian communication lines would be in their direct control or under their fire, and they could deal with the southern and northern wings of the enemy's forces on their own initiative. Probably they'd be content to hold the northern force while they attempted to smash that in the south and move toward Trieste, but they would first have to take Monte Hermada near the coast, and which commands the country around it for many miles. Their task would be simplified, of course, provided they are able to enlarge the successes reported to in today's dispatches. This will depend to a great degree on their supplies of munitions. The offensive of the Italians has amazed all the critics by the vigor with which it has been maintained for so long, a period in the face of the great natural obstacles strengthened by every means in the Teutonic power. It is a tribute to the generalship of Cadorna and his associates and the efficiency of their forces, which has often been emphasized by military critics. The Italian army has never been able to exercise its full weight, owing to the narrow limit in which it has been confined up to the present by the configuration of the fighting ground. A victory such as that which now seems to await it would soon give it a chance of breaking into more favorable ground, where the full strength of all its elements could be turned on the foe. Oh, brother, and we know what's coming. 20 British merchant ships of over 1,600 tons were sunk by submarines or mines during the past week, and 3 under 1,600 tons were lost. This compares with 18 and 5 respectively for the previous week. In Germany, the period at which Britain is to be brought to her knees by the submarine war has again been extended, and it is probable that no German military authority now expects that the war is to be ended in this way. 11 people were killed, 62 injured, and 1 foe raider was brought down in the last German airplane raid over England, and in the course of which bombs were dropped over London. No great material damage seems to have been done by the airplanes, which were in considerable numbers, but seem to have divided into couples when the London district was reached. They flew at a great height, and very few, if any, of them were seen from the ground while they were over the metropolis. Following upon news of the raid on the London area came the report that a German submarine had bombarded Scarborough, the famous watering place. The U-boat fired from a distance of 2 miles offshore, killing 3 people and injuring 5. British minesweepers attacked the sub, which submerged after firing 30 rounds and was not seen again. The air raids and the action off Jutland the other day may be the forerunners of an attempted combined German naval and air raid. On the Romanian front, the Russo-Romanian armies are not only still holding their own, but by counterattacks have recaptured some fortified heights recently taken by the enemy. Our allies are making an amazingly good stand in this region, and it is to be hoped that they have plenty of ammunition and supplies. Russia owes a great deal to Romania. It will be difficult for her to make up for the lack of promised support to the smaller country when the latter first went to war, and it would be the basest of all betrayals for her to withhold any help, which she can now give even in the midst of her own great troubles. On the northern Russian front, the Russians are continuing their retreat along the coast of the Gulf of Riga and have crossed the River Aw. The retreat has now reached a point about 33 miles northeast from Riga and is being pressed by the enemy. German critics continue to jubilate over the success in Russia. They call for the use of every man and gun possible in pressing the advantage on this front. Some of them go so far as to say that they will win the war with their victories in the east. British aviators have bombarded Adrianople and other interior points in Turkey. The raid seems to have been carried out on a pretty large scale. It will be remembered that raids on points in the Dardanelles and over Constantinople itself were recently made by British aviators who have shown that if reprisal raids only were to be thought of, they could play at Germany's own game quite well. On the West Front, aerial fighting is also reported at widely scattered points, and the indications are in favor of new offensive moves on a big scale in the very near future. The French reported yesterday a successful attack on the Champagne, though apparently on a small scale, and the repulse of a German attack on the Casemates Plateau on the Ain. The British do not report anything more than raiding by both sides. Reports that the Germans are preparing to retreat on a considerable front persist, but have not yet confirmed by any of the official statements. And the last bit, in East Africa, Anglo-Belgian columns have joined hands, and the rounding up of the enemy continues, 400 Germans having surrendered at one point to colored South African troops of the British forces. That's the end of the war summary, but we're going to continue on with William Aarons's, the Aarons translation Attrition, where William Aarons has translated some material for us from German newspapers. So I hope you stick around for that. All right. And that's the end of this bit, though. All right, here we go for Aaron's translation, Attrition, the ATA. Articles from German newspapers translated by William Aarons for LiveStream 128. And I'm going to say this, it's a honker of 21 pages after I've reformatted it. There's a ton of really good material here. So hopefully I'll take my time and you guys will enjoy it. Here we go. Translator's note. These reports should have been part of the August 23rd, 2025 live stream, being that they are all from the August 23rd, 1917 issues of the newspaper. However, I already had sent you a lot of material for that live stream. I do believe that these 4 articles show both the mood and the political and psychological complexity of what is happening in the Central Powers. The first recounts the visit of the Kaiser to the troops in Flanders. Even at this stage in the war, this Kaiser, by the grace of God, still held the belief that the Central Powers in Germany would win the war because they had faith that God was with them. God mittens. My God, do I ever like that. The reports seemed to show that both the Kaiser and the troops still had mutual respect, if not admiration, for each other. Unfortunately, this also seems to have hardened the position of the German government against any desire to enter into peace talks at this time. It is also interesting that the Kaiser mentions German tribes twice in his address. At this time, there were many areas of Germany that were inhabited by a particular tribally identified people, such as the Saxons, the Pomeranians, the Franks, and the Schwabish. Unfortunately, such tribal identification would be misused by Hitler to prove a kind of purity in the German bloodline that does not exist. Now for the newspapers. Berlin's latest news, Thursday, August 23rd, 1917, morning edition. The visit of the Kaiser to the victors in Flanders, a telegram from our embedded war reporter. In connection with and following his visit to the East Front, the Kaiser traveled then to Flanders as well. He made those official tours to express both his and the fatherland's thanks to the victorious heroes of both breakthrough campaigns. All the troops that had contributed in these battles and the naval forces were represented on two parade grounds near Denze and in the proximity of Bruges, where they had taken their places. The Kaiser appeared in the company of the Crown Prince Ruprecht of Bavaria and congratulated the High Commander of this army, His Excellency von Schroeder, and the Chief of Staff, Major von Lossberg, about the extraordinary success in the defensive battle that had been fought in Flanders. In excellent humor and with youthful buoyancy, he, the Kaiser, greeted these troops that had been set up in their four-cornered formations. Oh, I'm just getting scenes of All Quiet on the Western Front, the 70s version. Anyways, stepping forward to meet both the known officers and their soldiers by waving his hands at all of them and shaking the hands of some of them, among these being those pilots, and listen to this, of those pilots who had been honored with Pour la Mérite, the flight captain von Richthofen and First Lieutenant Berthold. After he personally gave out a number of Iron Crosses first class, principally to teams of soldiers, and having distributed those medals, the Kaiser walked into the middle of the formations and gave the following address. After this address, there followed the pass in review of the combat troops, and in addition, those who administered the railroads also participated, therefore acknowledging the sacrifices that they had made in their performance of hard duties during the Flanders battle. The Navy was in attendance under the command of the corvette Captain Bartenbach, the chief of a U-boat flotilla, leading a row of U-boat commanders and their U-boat crews. The Kaiser addressed the first lieutenant at sea, Salzwedel, who, with cordial words, while bestowing on him the Order of the Pour la Mérite. After this inspection, both the Kaiser and the Crown Prince Ruprecht dwelled for a long time with the informal groups of these assembled victors of Flanders and lingered among and alongside them in order to talk to both the officers and the combat troops of the various corps and division commands. W. Schumerman, embedded war reporter, I guess it's almost like the William the Lyons dude there for the Globe, addressed the Kaiser to the victors of Flanders. Stuart Lyon, during his visit to the troops in Flanders, the Kaiser gave the following speech. I have already telegraphed my thanks and appreciation from the higher headquarters to all the troops who fought so bravely and victoriously on Flemish soil against the mighty enemy. However, I felt the need to stand face to face with you and man to man, once again express my thanks and my fullest appreciation for the heroic bravery demonstrated by troops of all the German tribes in the difficult fighting of the past few weeks. Your comrades on the Eastern Front, with whom I recently visited, send you their greetings and thanks. The successes achieved over there would only have been possible if an ironclad wall had stood here, against which the enemy would be shattered. I express my particularly sincere thanks to the naval troops, marine infantry, for the decisive assault during which they so courageously defeated the enemy in the north. Thanks to this fine stroke, the English attack was deprived of a large part of its strength right from the start. Proof that the German infantry knows how to exploit every movement to dictate the law to the enemy through its own offensive actions. His Majesty then pointed out how this difficult battle on the Flanders front was a representation of the moral seriousness of the German worldview, and continued, whenever the time comes that God will by his decree grant us the victory is up to him. He has put our people and army through a tough school. Now we must pass the final exam. We Germans have made many old treaties with God over the years. So this time we want to show that what we can do with God on our side. The higher and more daring the task, the more joyfully we will approach its fulfillment. We will fight until the enemy has finally had enough. In these battles, the members of every German tribe have recognized who is driving this war and who the main enemy is. England! Everyone must know that England is our most hateful enemy. It spreads its hatred against Germany throughout the world and continually saturates its allies with hatred and therefore the need for them to continue the fight. Everyone at home knows what you know even better, that England is the enemy that must be defeated, however difficult that task. Your relatives at home, who have also made great sacrifices, thank you through me. They stand behind you while you remain under fire. And at the same time, they are also a willing army of workers with their every fiber straining to do what is necessary for their lives and for your fight. If England is proud of its ability on which it builds its invincibility, you will show in return that you can do just as well, indeed even better. For the prize of the fight is the German people, the freedom of the seas, and freedom at home. With God's help, we will fight this battle until we are victorious. Following the speech of the Kaiser, the commander-in-chief of the army expressed the troops' gratitude to their supreme commander. He too emphasized their unshakable confidence in the decisive outcome of this mighty struggle. His speech concluded with a cheer for the beloved Kaiser, which was met with a thunderous response. In the afternoon, at another location near the Flemish coast, the Kaiser met with detachments of troops who had repulsed the enemy attacks there or had protected the coast from enemy raids. Here too, the Navy showed itself to the Supreme Commander, for standing guard beside the firing trenches were detachments of our brave U-boat crews. The Kaiser dedicated warm and heartfelt words of appreciation to all of them, expressing his confidence that the joint efforts of the army and the fleet would succeed in defeating our most stubborn enemy, England, in the not too distant future. Here too, His Majesty distributed decorations. The impressive Imperial Day ended with a ceremonial march accompanied by music. Translator's note: here is a further report about the destruction of the Cathedral of Saint-Quentin. It is quite surprising to consider that the German army and government can see the destruction caused by their enemies to cultural landmarks, such as the cathedral, but unable to see the destruction that their own actions had done. Oh, don't worry, they're going to see it when the guy has a little trip there, remember, after they have to go sign the armistice and they see the destruction. It's amazing. Perhaps the Germans were not guilty of arson in this case, but the reports from the field have them cheering on every one of their successful artillery barrages, violent offensive assaults, or the sinking of ships that comes with the obvious loss of life at sea, all justified because of the war. Sadly for them, the only way to a peace that they would accept was to conduct an ever more fierce and aggressive war than they had up to now. I got to just say on a side note, I am so happy for your translator's notes, William Aarons. Just love them. So much, I just love it. I love that you put in your own opinions, man. French shamelessness on the destruction of the Cathedral of Saint-Quentin. In yesterday's evening edition, we brought to the attention of our readers an official report published by the Wenzel Telegraph Bureau, WTB, concerning the lies spread by the French side about German arson at the Saint-Quentin Cathedral. In the face of such a spawn of shameless mendacity, one would have to remain silent if there weren't still so many people in the world who were still not wise enough to keep from being influenced by the Entente's slander campaign. For 3 years, the masterminds in London and Paris have been emptying their Pandora's box about Germany. Oh boy, that should be popped in for some of the quotes for the interesting tidbits. That's awesome. For 3 years, their rage that they have shown by their envious accusations has been vented in the most revolting insults against Germany, and yet they still don't know the measure of their target. Facts that have been conclusively established by thousands and that can be verified by hundreds of thousands have been reversed by our enemies. But unfortunately, their sad machinations still find believers. We've avoided all unnecessary destruction in the occupied territories wherever they were and are. Oh, brother, yeah, sure you did. We have carefully protected and preserved outstanding architectural monuments and art treasures, established museums like that of Montbauge, about which we recently reported, and we have protected and carefully guarded the Cathedral of Saint-Quentin from all harm from the very first day of our occupation of that city. My God, they're hypocrites. Now the French are devastating their own monuments with their own cannons. Their rounds and grenades are being hurled into the city. Protectors of occupied French. Yes, Germany, you are. Oh my God. The citizens of Saint-Quentin are seeing with their own eyes how their compatriots are bombing the venerable church, devoid of any military necessity to do so. And now the French have the nerve to claim that we set fire to the building. All concepts of truth have been eradicated by our enemies. My God, that was a good article. Instead, they've erected an altar to shameless lies and the lowest slander. In this form of a nation that once boasted to the world that it was marching at the forefront of civilization. My God, that should have been called kettle calling the pot black. Holy moly, what an article. Translator's note. Here's a brief report that shows the difference between Kaiser Wilhelm II and Kaiser Karl of Austria-Hungary. Instead of a rousing speech, the report only said that King Kaiser Karl arrived at the Sanzo front on August 21st, and then he left there less than 48 hours later. Perhaps this shows the war weariness that Kaiser Karl and many of the people of his Reich were feeling. I also think the Germans are not pretty impressed with him, man, considering he's been trying to do a separate peace as well. So I think they're not going to give him a lot of good press. Anyways, Berlin's latest news. Thursday, August 23rd, 1917, evening edition. Favorable conditions in the Asanzo campaign. For Italy right now, holy smokes, even though you guys think it's the other way around. Well, let's see. WTB. Wenzel Telegraph Bureau, Vienna, August 23rd. A report from the press quarter was as follows. The Asanzo campaign continues on. The front has remained stable for the most part. In Verovik, the enemy has taken some ground. Kaiser Karl of Austria-Hungary traveled to the Asanzo front on Tuesday, August 23rd, first, and returned from there today, Thursday, August 23rd, in the morning. Translator's note. Here are some further political developments in the Reichstag and how this newspaper saw the role of the various parties and personalities. It is evident that Berlin's latest news were in no way wanting to consider an early end of the war through the application of any kind of concessions from the Central Powers. Here they are quite open in mocking the politicians such as Erzberger and those who would follow him, as well as any alternate point of view from the press, as weak if not defeatist, while they believed victory was still close at hand. So the Social but Democratic Party of Germany and the Catholic Center Party were seen as putting forth an unacceptable path to peace, while the Chancellor, Dr. Michaelis, who was still more of a representative of the Kaiser than he was responsible to any majority in the Reichstag, just as Bismarck had been, and the National Liberal Party, who were aligned with the aristocratic and business establishments, were both seen as holding to the proper line that both the government and the politicians should be maintaining. It is a sad thing that the Social Democrat Friedrich Ebert was, in the context of the issues written of in this article, seen as only having made a superfluous statement, and then a few years later, during the Weimar Republic, came to tragic end. Signs of a storm. Another way you could title this article would be to call it Storm Warnings. Ooh, be interesting too, because that's it's bringing me back into what Meandering Mike mentioned about Storm of Steel and Storms of Steel, and that the English keep getting the title wrong from Ernst Jünger. That's interesting. Anyways, a mysterious whisper is coursing through the ranks of the parties who are in favor of the peace resolution. Their papers reveal what has been simmering in silence. Slogans and words like conflict-filled atmosphere, purgatory, and anarchy resound. Anyone who is anxious feels goosebumps run down their spine. And all this has come about because of an untamed spirit such as Mr. Erzberger. Instead, gives off the air of calm superiority of a practical statesman. My God, I love the way they write. Yesterday, the Reichschancellor had to respond to the challenges made by the representative of the Center Party with the statement that the Chancellor made before the lunch break. In this, he stated more or less that he will not be forced to profess views that are in contradiction to his convictions. On a side note, wouldn't it be so cool to get the German guys that wrote this to do the English, like to pretend that they were doing for the England, do an English bent on things, and then vice versa. Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. But the leader of the Democratic Party wanted to force him to do so. The Chancellor's response to the papal note was supposed to be so determined that he could not do anything but sing along to the Pied Piper song of the representative, Erzberger from Biberach, a region in Württemberg in southern part of the German Reich. This attempt failed. Dr. Michaelis had successfully defended himself and demanded elbow room for himself under all circumstances that the various situations could require elbow room. My God, that's going to come back in a few more years, isn't it? Mr. Erzberger may rejoice as much as he likes that Chancellor accommodated him and his majority in second speech. We already know that Dr. Michaelis was prepared to work closely with the party leaders to determine the wording to his reply to the papal letter, and then he wanted to hold conferences with them on this matter. In this, the Chancellor did not say anything more than he did the last time he spoke on this issue. Are Mr. Erzberger and his political backfire satisfied with the outcome of this attempt? We do not believe that. Rather, it seems to us that, after the first assault against the responsible head of state had been repulsed, and the favorable opportunity for a new advance that seemed there to be seized, just led to the excitement yesterday among the majority parties, giving way already today to a more restrained attitude. This was also expressed by a progressive representative on behalf of the majority, retrospectively declaring the first paragraph of their statement presented yesterday by Mr. Ebert, a social democrat, to be superfluous. A formal admission of this difference of opinion could restore the personal relations between the Chancellor and the majority parties to their former state. It was therefore foolish for a well-known midday paper to generally express the view about the loss of authority that the Chancellor, Dr. Michaelis, would suffer at the hands of a vote of a lack of confidence from the majority parties, among which we do not include the National Liberals, just as we did not do so previously. But this loss of confidence has been offset by the increase in trust that the Chancellor has gained in the widest circles through his successful parry against the originator of this parliamentary duel. In any case, with its veiled accusations of unscrupulous, desperate politicians and the storm block against the Reichstag majority, and other amicable remarks in today's editorial, Vorwärts, the Forward, the newspaper of the Social Democrats, should address itself not to the actions of the Reichschancellor, but rather to the Erzbergers and the Scheidermans. They are the ones who are playing with fire and driving us towards internal conflict. If it came to that, they would bear the sole responsibility before the German people. We very much doubt that our people would then follow the leadership of these party leaders. We are accustomed to looking for direction from our leaders who have been appointed to carry out state policy and not allowing ourselves to be lured into false paths by these democratic sirens. The purgatory, which the Vorwärts, with its undoubtedly deeply religious disposition, this is meant to be sarcastic, seems to know so well that it paints its horrors on the wall, does not frighten us. As it is well known, not all souls are destined for damnation there. Rather, many emerge purified. Of course, we can confidently say that the editorial board of the Vorwärts will not be among those souls so redeemed. PG. And now we're off to another one. The National Liberal Parliamentary Group's decision. As is known, the National Liberal Party parliamentary group in the Reichstag has decided to participate in the inter-party discussions in the Reichstag in the future. With this decision, it is resuming the custom that had become common during the evident political crisis between various parliamentary groups in the Reichstag. A break occurred at that time when a certain party grouping came together on the basis of the peace resolution. The fact that the discussion should now be resumed has already led to misunderstandings before a firm decision by the Reichstag parliamentary group about a response to the peace note has even been made. An immediate attempt was made to construct the idea that the resumption of discussions represented a departure from the political stance that the parliamentary group had taken toward the peace resolution. This is a completely false interpretation. The National Liberal Correspondence now undertakes the task of circumscribing the official party standpoint. It does so in roughly the same way as we have done yesterday. The National Liberal Reichstag faction has stated that it has adopted a precisely worded declaration to avoid any confusion about the significance of this step. In this declaration, it has preserved its complete independence, particularly in the area concerning current foreign policy. This is reserved for dealing with the factions whose views on the peace issue are not shared by them. Rather, as they have already stated to the Volkszeitung, the faction remains unanimously opposed to this resolution. Regarding the remaining issues, the National Liberal Reichstag faction has also demanded complete independence. It thus participates in a deliberate community, but refuses to be bound by, for example, votes cast in the name of interfactional discussions. On the completely free grounds on which the negotiations will proceed under these circumstances, the faction expects significant support, not only for parliamentary business, but also for the views that it represents. The factions in favor of the peace resolution are certainly not inexorably bound by this, but if they have the will, they can decisively influence the workings of the parliamentary machinery due to their numerical superiority. If the National Liberal Reichstag faction will participate in these preparations and preliminary discussions in the future, while fully preserving its independence, then the existing bloc will undoubtedly lose its one-sided dominance. This will be just as valuable in the interest of the cause as it is, on the other hand, advantageous for the faction in every respect not to be confronted with the final resolutions of a parliamentary bloc, but to have exerted its influence beforehand. This will naturally result in a dissemination on the basis of parliamentary privilege, which will cost the National Liberal Reichstag faction no sacrifice to the convictions of its members, and will nevertheless offer it the opportunity to bring the weight of its views to bear at any time. The consequences of this stance will be felt immediately, but they seem to be of primary importance to the parliamentary group in light of the major tasks of producing domestic policy in response to future situations, with the solutions and management that are meant to meet those demands. The Reichstag parliamentary group believes that it is bound by duty to renounce a position of domination that would significantly limit its influence on the reshaping of affairs. It was therefore almost unanimously convinced that the political situation demanded its renewed participation in interparliamentary discussions. Without malicious intent, the parliamentary group's decision will be neither manipulated nor reinterpreted. And that's it. Let's see if I can get it to the, will it do it? No. Let's see if I can grab it. Is it going to do it? No. There we go. And that's the end of that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that and have a great remainder of your weekend, and see you in, well, for livestream 129, which should be in about 2 weeks, which would be September 20th, I do believe. All right. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Bye.